Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship, what a season. Phenomenal. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to World Online Racing here on a Sunday night. It's a pleasure to have you all here with us here at 7 o'clock. We're going to be witnessing some of the best racing known to man on the League Racing platform on the F1 2021 game. My name is George Morgan at George Morgan TV on Twitter, and I'm also joined by none other, the Scottish man, Ginger Andy. Andy, how you doing, mate?
Good. Great to be here, George. Looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll get some more racing than what we had today in Formula One. I mean, usually I don't like to put spoilers in case you've just come in from work and not seen the race on Sunday, but I'm just going to tell you right now.
It was a mad race, by the way. It was a mad race.
Don't bother.
It was a mad race.
Don't bother.
Incredible race. Incredible. No, I have to say, George Russell collecting his first podium. Respect to the man, can I just say? Respect. But no, honestly, folks, it's a pleasure to be back here. Obviously, just to put a few serious words out on the stream as well. Obviously, it's been a turbulent week for various reasons. Obviously, you know, the game inadvertently, you know, we sort of gave us a few problems, a few headaches, certainly. But we go racing anyway, folks, and that is the key message. Always, League Racing comes first, and it certainly comes first here at WOR. And we're dedicated to bringing you the best racing on the F1 platform, certainly here every Sunday night from 7 o'clock. And long may it continue, I have to say. But Andy, looking at this grid today, we have got some of the real hottest talents on the planet. The grid doesn't look any different, does it?
No, it doesn't. After all what's going on during the week, well, they've been unable to knock us out of our stride, George. They have. We're back. We're looking forward to this today. And the grid is as star-studded as ever. It's going to be another fantastic race here in China. Not always a favourite with all the drivers, but it is a track that can provide some exciting racing down into that hairpin and through the S's in the middle part of the lap and into that first corner. Great track, great group of drivers. And what you said at the top of the show is correct, George. League Racing comes first. This is where it all began. This is why F1 Esports is where it is today, because of the community, because of the League Racing. So we're going to put on as good a show as we can tonight, because we've had obviously the controversy during the week, and you haven't seen a Grand Prix today either. So we're going to make up for it tonight, and we're going to give you an absolute belter of a Grand Prix. I can assure you that. That's a promise.
It certainly is, Andy. You're absolutely spot on. And we're going to take a quick look at the standings as well. We're just waiting for the drivers to ready up and get ready to go into the session. We're only moments away, folks, for us putting the green lights on and getting ready to go around our first session of qualifying. But here are the standings. And that man, the all-star, Jake Benham, is currently top in the billing. 40 points to his name for the Mercedes team. Second place, Shanaka Clay in the standings as well, with Alvaro Caraton there on 25 points as well. Dario Yamilo, Joe Hannon behind him, Andreas Dormeyer, Anton Desalewski, as well as Ruben Vallejo, Liam Parnell, and John Evans, all making that foundation as well. But we're moving over to China. Jake Benham obviously looking to increase his advantage at this time, and certainly based off the performances that we've seen recently from the All-Star, he certainly will be one to watch. Certainly a danger every week that he appears on a circuit, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely right, George. I mean, he's been Mr. Consistent so far. 2 podium finishes from the first 2 races. And yeah, well, obviously 2 podiums. He ended up getting the victory, didn't he, in the first Grand Prix of the season. But didn't finish there on track, but was inherited the victory. So yeah, consistency is very, very key. And Jake Benham has started the season well. 2 podiums, 1 win. And yeah, that could be the difference in these short seasons, you know. And, you know, Alvaro Caraton, he's looked very quick. 2 pole positions, win last week as well. But you need to pick up points in every race. race. He can't afford to have any more races like in Bahrain because, the likes of Jake Benham is not going to give very many points away. So consistency is key over the season. But it's going to be very, very exciting, George. I really do enjoy the Chinese circuit. And I think we're in for a cracking race. I think we really are. Jake Benham's on fire, as is Alvaro Carreton. And there's a few others out there as well going to stake a claim. A few drivers coming up from Tier 2 as well, George. And they'll be determined to show what they're made of. And don't forget, we saw Cookie last week. The star of the show, wasn't he, in qualifying? He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was absolutely tremendous. Came out of nowhere and actually managed to get himself a pole position in in an absolutely unreal fashion at Suzuka. He was sensational through that time, and it was amazing to see. And naturally, we're really looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do here tonight. We're obviously pushing to see who is going to be the best, certainly around this circuit of China, the Shanghai International Circuit. Incidentally, 200,000 capacity circuit, of course. That's where the spectators come and visit. Naturally, we're seeing them all come in now in this Formula One season. Opened back in 2004 with 2.6 billion yen spent on this circuit, and that translates to $450 million of production there. Incredible indeed. But nevertheless, the track is absolutely superb, and we're looking forward to going racing here. 16 corners make up this circuit, of course, 3.388 miles of pure racing. Variation in the corners is aplenty, and certainly lots of straights for those drivers to make those crucial overtakes. And one of the best areas, that long DRS straight between turns 13 and 14, Andy.
Yep, absolutely. Great opportunity to overtake down there on the Grand Prix. One of the longest straights in Formula One. At the time when the circuit opened, it was the longest straight in Formula One, but of course it's been eclipsed now with the likes of Abu Dhabi. They've got long straights in Baku as well that rival it. But no, it's a great track, George. It is. And it reminds me a bit of some of the other newer tracks that come in, the likes of Malaysia and things like that. But, it is a really nice track. That first corner, turns 1 and 2, they're very, very... Very, very unique, that long sweeping turn 1. And I'm looking forward to the action, George. It should be a cracker. The cars are coming out the track. It is, of course, Q1, Q2 and Q3. But there was a little bit of concern, George, that we might not even race tonight if F1 continues to delay and delay and delay. But thankfully, they ended up giving up on that race. And we have got a full race weekend here with full qualifying. And that's exactly what we like to see.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, 16 and a half minutes in Q1 remain, and only 2 cars out on track, actually, and that is Chana Kinchi, who immediately sends it for a spin. Now, remember, in usual, we see it relatively, always in Formula One, certainly here in league racing, we have those drivers appearing on intermediate tyres. Now, that is purely down to the fact that they like to save a set of the slick tyres, so it's very important that they can just use those intermediates, at least for the simple time being, just to get things underway. And Chana Kinchi again going for a very, very hellacious spin, taking out some of the barge boards as well. They won't see the light of day again. But yes, very, very key, and a constant that we see certainly in league racing, certainly at the top level, Andy, conserving those slicks and just utilising those wet weather tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to make sure they've got all the slicks available for when it really matters towards the end of this session and the future sessions coming up, because, tyres are so scarce. And of course, in the race as well, you want to make sure that you've got plenty of tyres available for all the eventualities, because you never know. Safety cars at any random moment, you want to have a spare set of tyres in your pocket for things like that too. So the drivers just want to keep all their options available to them and don't go burning a set of tyres in a pointless fashion. But it is a bit strange, George, isn't it, for us to see drivers out there in intermediates in top tier league racing sliding around. But it's just the way it is. It's what we've got to deal with. And in the opening few minutes, we've just got to watch what is almost a comical sight of Chana Kinchi going for a couple of spins out there.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's not the only one out on track, though. Mattis van Erven is also making his way around turn 1 in the Haas, and very shortly coming into the next left-hander as well. Plenty of action still to be had, though, and it looks like we're going to be seeing the usual trend of intermediate tyres, at least for the time being. So it gives us a chance to sort of survey the drivers that we have out on track right now. Mattis van Erven, of course, currently out on a time lapse, so is Chana Kinchi. Hopefully he can get around okay. But we've got Floris Viers back with us as well, and he's going to be joining us in the Alpine car as well. Liam Parnell down in P16, also out on the night lap. Simon Shooter also as well, who's just started his time lap on Inters. Plenty there out and about, including Shanaka Clay out on medium. Well, he's not out yet, but he's on medium tyres for now. We'll have to see whether that's the strategy he's looking to opt for. As you just see Mattis van Erven very tail happy around that segment of the circuit. Now rounding the next left-hander, of course, double left-hander, which will lead him down towards towards the next straight, heading up towards turn 11. And Andy, going back to this circuit, naturally, so many variations in the corners, and certainly that progressive bend just before the long straight, so dangerous as well, because if you clip that curb, you're going for a spin. Very, very similar, effective-wise, to that of Spoon Curve at Japan that we just saw last week.
Yeah, it is. It's such a tricky corner, such a frustrating corner, coming out of turn 11, and then you just got to feather the throttle through 12 and into 13. It's so tricky, George, because there's so many different lines to take through there. I mean, I've been racing on the Formula 1 games for 10 years, and now I'm a commentator. I've given up. I still don't know the right line through there, to be honest, and I think I could do with a few lessons on how to get through it. But, it is quite a challenging track, George, and there's quite a lot of tight corners, like this final corner here, that left-hander of turn 16, so tight, very easy to find yourself out on the curb and going for a spin, or even invalidating your lap time right at the very end. So that's a tricky corner. Turns 1 and 2 as well, sweeping in here with Mattis Van Erven, and you just got to be so patient, carry as much speed into the corner as you can, and then swoop downhill into turns 2 and 3. So yeah, it's a great track, George. I really do like it, and it's one that I feel rewarded when I hook it up together and get a good lap. As I mentioned earlier on, good opportunity to overtake at the hairpin at turn 14, good opportunity down into turn 6 at the hairpin there, and plenty of other opportunities into turn 1 and 2 as well. So it should be a good race, good track, and it will test the drivers as well, and it can punish too.
It certainly can, and Haas currently topping the timing sheet, so 1:45. Oh, Liam Parnell! I spoke too soon, sir. The Red Bull comes across the line and goes over a second, 1.4 seconds clear of Samuel Lebert down in P2. So Liam Parnell topping the timing tower, at least for now. Simon Shooter comes across the line and sets a 2:06. Obviously, just getting the initial laps down on the intermediates. Just gives the drivers a little feel for the circuit without having to eat away into those softer compounds. Looks like it's going to be, hopefully, we're going to see a dry race. Certainly that would be something that we'd just like to see. I think we've had enough of rain after today, Andy, after what's happened at Spa, but hopefully we'll have plenty of action, lots of overtaking. Certainly the lap times I can see being very competitive, certainly at the top end. Very much what we see for a lot from these drivers is generally lap times are well within at least 0.5 of a second.
Yeah, absolutely, George. I'm interested to see what everyone thinks in the chat. Thanks very much for joining us this early on in Q1, all 68 of you. What are you guys thinking ahead of this race today? 12 minutes left in qualifying. What are your tips for pole position? Who do you fancy for the victory here in Shanghai? Of course, Jake Benham winning the opener, and Alvaro Carreton last time out. So is there going to be a third different winner in 3 races? Or are we expecting one of those two to pick up another victory? George, what are you thinking? What about Shinaka Clay? Fancy his chances?
Well, Shinaka Clay is a proven race winner as well, Andy. Of course, proven at the top level as well. He battles with the best of them. Certainly has a lot of presence. And here at WOR, he's a fan favourite here as well. And certainly Aston Martin have got themselves a very, very consistent front runner who likes to challenge through, every corner. We saw him at Japan last week. He was so aggressive, and that's exactly what he needs in order to be the best in certainly in this league, that's for sure. Louis Welsh, though, going into P2 with a 144.893 and slots himself just in behind Liam Parnell. Lefted has joined the top 3 as well at 145.629 for him, and goes just over a 1/10 of a second quicker than Samuel Lebert. Both Hasses in tandem. Ps 4 and 5. Mattis Van Erven just in behind Samuel Lebert with Simon Shooter there in P6. Still waiting on the others to sort of unleash their lap times as well. Yari Fitz is currently the only driver out on track who is donning a set of soft tyres, so we'll keep an eye on this man. He is actually partnering Shinaka Clay here today. So Aston Martin coming here with 2 very reliable drivers, and certainly you'd expect them to be very near the top. And yeah, I got to say, Andy, I think I agree. I think Shinaka Clay is definitely one to watch, but I would never ever count out the All-Star Jake Benham and his teammate Valentin Bruffaut. We could see some more Mercedes magic, but I'm also going to keep a close eye on Alvaro Carreton as well. He had an excellent race at Japan last week.
Yeah, he sure did. I'm just looking at the comments, George, and there is a lot of love out there for Shinaka Clay. Tom Clark fancies him. Chile fancies his chances as well. A lot of love for Louis Welsh, Tom97. Hashtag the Louis Welsh fan club. Love to see that. The man who's the king on the pad as well. So, good to see a lot of love out there for all the drivers. But yeah, another man I'm really looking forward to see is Ruben Vallejo. I mean, we've seen how strong he was in pre-season, George, winning in Brazil, wasn't he? So could he be another contender to maybe go and win a Grand Prix? There's so many talented drivers out there, isn't there? I mean, who knows what's going to happen today? I mean, we were so shocked by what we see from Cookie last week, so who knows, really? I mean, it's going to be very, very exciting. But Alvaro Carreton showed his experience last week and put on a fine performance in the damp conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Chanakinchi out on track, so is Thomas Harvey, all on the soft tyres. Let's see what these men can do. Obviously, these are going to be more an indicator of the pace in amongst this contingent of drivers. Currently at the top end, Liam Parnell on softs, but remember, he set that lap time on a set of intermediate tyres, much like Lewis Welsh left did, Samuel Lebert, Mattis van Urban and Thymen Shooter did as well. Liam Parnell, 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. Now, that's not the way to do it. He may be on P1 for now, but he won't be now heading into the race. That is absolutely sensational. Very rarely do we see anything like that. Certainly in league racing, I have to say, Andy, I think we did see a little bit of it at Bahrain, though, when Alvaro Carreton exited the pit lane, and there was he was given a penalisation for blocking. He had left the session at that point, so it didn't really matter. But a 5-place grid penalty for Liam Parnell so early in qualifying, that is going to be extremely vital.
Yeah, that's a kick in the teeth. He'll be gutted to see that, so it's a real shame for him, and that immediately sets him back 5 places, George, and you know how difficult it is to make those places back up as Chanakinchi goes P1 with a 1:29.491, because you know you can find yourself in a DRS train very quickly, George, and everyone just equalises themselves out, and it can often be all about strategy in the races. So a 5-place grid penalty is quite the hammer blow for Liam Parnell. He'll not be too happy about that. But the first benchmark time then coming in from Chanakinchi, a 1:29.4, and it's immediately beaten by Thomas Harvey, and it's only just beaten though, very, very close at the top, and I'm sure that's a theme that will be continuing throughout the session. Gary Fitz, I believe, is out there on a lap. He's crossing the line now. It was 1:30.0, but he invalidated it when he was out there, George. So Thomas Harvey, early pace setter, with the initial times coming in on the softs.
Yep, they are all cascading in now. 1:29 currently to beat. A 1:29.4 set by both Thomas Harvey and Chanakinchi. Only a matter of a hundredths of a second separating that McLaren and also the Alpine. And there's Yari Fitz making his way around now as well. Nicholas Mateo, who is, of course, a very relentless figure. Felipe Souza is another man we like to watch as well, because remember, he has just recently signed to Visceral Racing, and obviously VSR will be delighted to have this man on board. Very reliable, very consistent performer. Was seen in the PC Championships, such as PSGL last season, lighting things up, the young Brazilian. And I've got to say, he's never too far away from the points. They picked themselves up a very handy driver, and I'm sure working together with Liam Parnell, those two will be a very hellacious partnership in this race here today. Still plenty of cars out on track, including this man, young Jake Benham, who's now rounding the hairpin bend, heading out of turn 14, now up to turn 15. You can see there, I think that might actually be Alvaro Carreton coming round as well. No, that's the other Williams, I think, just going past the paddock. That's Ruben Pedreño as Jake Benham immediately hits himself up into P3 for the Black Arrow, and soon that's a good start. But his teammate Valentin Brufair, welcome to the show. 1:29.316, sensational stuff. The lap times are flying in now, Andy.
They are, and here comes Shanaka Clay to add his name to the list of people in the 1:29.4s. That's now 4 drivers with a 1:29.4, and this is looking very, very tasty indeed. Who else we got out there? Ruben Vallejo is out there too. He's coming towards the end of his lap in the Scarlet Ferrari. What's he going to go do here in the car 93 as he comes up to that final corner now? He's so close to invalidating. Up to the line he comes. What's it going to be? It's another 1:29.4. Wow, 5 cars in there already, George.
Yeah, Ulas Azildarim is also coming around the final corner as well. Can he join the fray? Oh, takes a wide line there, heading down the stretch. What's it going to give him, though? Does he get invalidation? I believe he does. Not good at all there for Ulas Azildarim, who's now going to have to go round again. Plenty, though, out and about. Alvaro Carreton there as well, but Valentin Brufair untouched at the top. Thymen Shooter! I spoke too soon, sir! Thymen Shooter on top with a 1:29.275. That is absolutely brilliant from the Alfa Romeo driver. And Mattis van Urban immediately himself trumps him at the get-go in the Haas. That is sensational, but watch out for this man, the killer Carreton, the apex predator, who has, of course, done it so often in the past. Comes up across the line, P2, just behind Mattis van Urban. No one can touch the man in the Haas currently. He is on top spot. What a start from Mattis van Urban here, Andy.
Good start from him. Ruben Pedreño pops into 5th place, and George early in the session. I know, 5 minutes to go, but I'm already sensing the tightest qualifying session of the season so far. Unbelievable. They've only done 1 lap each. The top 13 covered by 0.4 of a second. 7th to 12th covered by literally nothing. So unbelievably tight in there, but the pressure immediately on the likes of Jari Fitz, Lefted, Libre, all those drivers who haven't really got a good lap in at all. So quite concerning, and let's see who can get a lap in quickly, because they're all under pressure.
They certainly are. Ulas Zilderim as well is under pressure. He's yet to set a time, but making his way out of the hairpin bend. I get the feeling this might be a tight one as he makes his way around the final corner. He's got a Ferrari right behind him. He does indeed box, as expected. Naturally, those tyres might be feeling a little bit worse for wear right now. Plenty of drivers are out and about, including Lewis Welch, who's making his way around too. And as he makes his way around this next left-hander, certainly the Ferrari Padman, of course, who's been there and certainly provided us with some, various outstanding moments, challenging certainly the likes of Jana Watmir last season in PSGL and many other top drivers too. So you'd fancy Louis Welch to thrive in these circumstances. This is the sort of grid that you'd expect him to perform at. So, I think there's more to come from Louis Welch here, Andy.
Yes, absolutely, more to come. I just can't believe he's able to compete with these guys in the pad. I keep going on about it every week, but it just baffles me, George. It's phenomenal, really. And it just shows everyone in the world of league racing what is possible, even if you don't have all of the equipment available to be as quick as possible. You can still compete up at the top as he comes into the pits then. That 129.6 that he's done at the minute looks a little bit shaky. What do you think then, George? Cut-off time, what we're saying? I'm going to go a 129.4.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if you look at the majority of the grid, all of them are stacking up in the 129.4s right now. If you're over that, I think you can consider yourself in deep trouble. I think if you look further down, you can see that a lot of those lap times were set fairly early on. Chanikinchi making his way around the next right-hander. Naturally, now the track is probably reaching optimal temperature, certainly in this session. And now it's never been more prevalent to actually nail a lap time now in the final couple of minutes. This is going to be very, very key. Chanikinchi is going to be, I think, the first to cross the line to get underway, and immediately slows down. There's a yellow flag in sector 1 and 3. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but already you can see from the top end, Mattis van Urban, nothing to worry about, retires from the session. So they believe the cut-off point is the 129.3s at least, Andy.
Well, I would call it brave. They know better than me, George, but if we're thinking 29.4 could be the cut-off, that could be a very brave decision, because this looks very, very close, this field. They just want to try and save a set of soft tyres, but let's wait and see what Chanikinchi can do. And if he pops up ahead of some of those guys, as now Liam Parnell does the same thing, and he's barely in the 129.3. So let's see what Chanikinchi does, and if he goes quicker than some of those top 5 or top 6 drivers, I think a few of them might start to get a little bit concerned, and there could be some fingernails being bitten down in some of those garages. So let's see what Chanikinchi can do through that first sector. Is he up in his time? No, he's a fraction down on his opening time. So let's see what he can do for the next part of the lap, but he only needs to find a little bit of time to put a little bit of pressure on the likes of Liam Parnell. Less than a tenth he needs to find.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's now rounding the next left at turn 7. He'll be buckling around turn 8 now very shortly. Another left beckons. He's got a double left, in fact, turns 9 and 10, and almost similar to the bends that you get in Mexico, where you take the double rights and head into the stretch leading into sector 3. But as they now make their way up towards turn 11, you cut up through the chicane, try and take the best angle of attack heading into turn 12, and he's done just that. They're all coming in tandem now as he now rounds turn 13, and certainly the Alpine of Chanikinchi never more prevalent. This is the actual time he needs to get a move on here. Yellow flag in sector 3, as you can see the car slowing down to let Chanikinchi through, heading down now towards turn 14. This is a very key bend as well, needs a great bit of acceleration heading out of this corner, and a good exit speed would certainly help him as he now exits now, heading through turn 15 into turn 16, chucking the car around the next left-hander. What can Akinci do? Is it good? Is it good? Cross the line. I think that might have been an invalidation, Andy.
Well, he might have time to go again, but I'm having a look out there. Jari Fitz just a tenth down on whatever we were seeing there from Chanikinchi. So who else is improving out there at the minute? So Jari Fitz on 1, Ulas Ozildrum is out there as well. They both need to improve by quite a distance. Jake Benham was fastest in the first sector. He's now a further 2 tenths up, so he's definitely going to be going through if he continues to string that lap together. But we need to keep an eye on the people in the bottom 5 at the minute. Where is Jari Fitz? He's down at the hairpin. Is he going to move himself out of the bottom 5? Felipe Souza on a 129.7 is the current target for Jari Fitz as he brings the Aston Martin into the final corner, heads to the line. Can he go any higher than 20th? He's only 17th, a 29.8. He is out.
Yeah, but what about Ulas Zildjirim at 129.149? And that's around 0.04 of a second quicker than that of Mattis van Erven. Extraordinary stuff there from the McLaren. Incredible. Jake Benham into P5 as well, has worked his way up, at least holding on for now with the 129.3s. That will go a long way, certainly for him. Further down, we got Samuel Lebert out on the lap as well. Any news there, Andy?
Souza coming to the line. Is he going to get through? Yes, he goes 11th, 129.4. I can tell you now, Louis Welsh is improving. Nicholas Matteo is improving. And here comes Dario Yamilo. Can he get out of the bottom 5? He's currently 17th. He can. He goes 8th, George.
Yeah, he certainly does. Crossing the line in the AlphaTauri, heading up towards turn 1. Brilliant from Dario Yamilo. Plenty. Yes, Nicholas Matteo about to cross the line as well. As he does so, does he make it? Oh, brilliant. Blistering lap there from Nicholas Matteo at 129.111. Outshining certainly the class act of Ulas Zildjirim. Takes top spot in the Alfa Romeo. What a lap, Andy. A 129 treble 1. Sensational stuff.
Sensational indeed. Samuel Lebert could not improve. He's out. Yanni Fitz out, as we know. Left it to Chana Kinshi. That invalidation has killed him. He's out of qualifying with that 129.4. Felipe Souza is through. Thomas Harvey on the bubble, but he's through anyway. He goes 7th. And there you go then. It was indeed a 29.4 that was the cut-off. And it's Souza, Akenshi, Lebert, Fitz and Lefted who are out of qualifying. And goodness me, Liam Parnell, he was the last of those not to do a final run. He's through in 14th, George. That was brave.
Amazing stuff, Andy. They're all within pretty much 0.3 of a second at the top end. If you look at P1 all the way down to P14, literally nothing separates them. Liam Parnell, though, just about getting in, and he needs to really get a move on because remember, 5-place grid penalty. That is going to be so key in this race. But the key losers, unfortunately, Felipe Souza out, Chana Kinchi out, Samuel Lebert, Yari Fitz, Lefted. Some big names, Andy, that have exited already out of Q1, but incredible lap from Nicholas Matteo and Ulas Zildjirim as well. Beating Shinaka Clay, who managed to get himself up into P3 as well with Mattis van Erven. Very impressive in P4. Floris Viers up into P5. Alvaro Caraton, enough to get out of Q1 as well. Thomas Harvey, who has been sensational. Then you got Thyman Shooter, Ruben Vallejo, and Jake Benham all in the top 10. But some big scalps taken away, Andy. We've lost the likes of Chana Kinchi. Well, I have to say, I tipped actually to go a lot further into qualifying. And what about that from Liam Parnell as well? A 5-place grid penalty. That is a massive blow to his prospects for this race today.
Yeah, sickener for Liam Parnell. I mean, he was the last of the 6 initially that didn't do a second run, and he gets through in 14th place. But the big hit for him, of course, is the 5-place penalty anyway. So he's under a lot of pressure. He had to get himself through there. And realistically, if he wants a good result today, he's going to have to get into Q3 as well now, because he's going to take a penalty. But yeah, really a shocker there for Chana Kinshi. He just did not hook the lap up. He was improving on his lap, George. And then final corner, we think somewhere on the lap, he invalidated it and ended up dropping out with that 29.4. I mean, the top 18 were covered by 410s. I mean, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts to have the field so close. So one mistake, one lock up into a corner, and it's the difference between being first and being out in Q1. And that is why the drivers need to be on their top of their game at all times. As we get ready to jump into Q2 now, George, and I'm looking forward to it. Will there be a mixture of strategy? What will the drivers go for in this one? I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be, there's such fine margins between success and failure, certainly in amongst grids such as this, folks. You've just seen it here today. The gaps between Ps1 to P14 or Ps1 to P15, literally, and I say it again, thinner than a fly's eyelash. Absolutely tremendous. And it's amazing to see what performance a lot of these drivers could get out of these cars. Already now, we're going to be heading over to our next session here in Q2. And you can see there's only one man opting to have a go on the medium tyres, at least for now. He could still change it. Nicholas Matteo holding onto those medium tyres. Floris Viers, the first to leave the pit lane in the Alpine of all cars. And he's making his way around the first sector on the soft tyres. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But interesting, I sort of fancied more drivers to go for that medium strategy, Andy, because I thought certainly around a track like China, you know, I hear a lot of comments of people saying the mediums tend to travel better than the softs on this circuit.
Yeah, well, I'd say the medium at most racetracks is probably like the race tyre. You know, a lot of tracks people find that the softs wear out too quick, the hards are a bit too slow, so medium always tends to be the preferred tyre on most tracks. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see. Maybe the drivers do feel like track position is more important here, and soft tyres the way to start the Grand Prix. But you know, a lot of people prefer that medium to start with and come charging back through later on, because what you can do with the medium tyre is, you know, start a bit further down, but get towed along by soft runners in a DRS train and in the slipstream, and then pick them off when the gaps are there later on in the Grand Prix when you're in the faster tyre. So interesting to see only 2 drivers on them now, but I mean they're not actually out on the track on them, they're just fitted them in the pit lane as things stand. That is Nicholas Matteo and Jake Benham, but by all means they might just be sitting there on them right now, but that does not mean they will go out there and do a lap on them. We'll just have to wait and see what everyone plans to do, but it's just going to be one of those ones where everyone prods each other and says, right, you go out, no, I go out, you go out, I want to see what your strategy is. And we certainly saw that back in Bahrain, and that gave Alvaro Carreton such an advantage, but he was unable to convert the Grand Prix due to that penalty they received.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to wait and see what happens, naturally, whether they do choose to sort of lay it all on the line. I can see now another driver has opted to put mediums on. None other than Valentin Brufair has opted to put the mediums on as well for Q2. So let's see how that is, or certainly affects things. A little tail happy there from Floris Fears as he made his way down towards the next right-hander. And very shortly he's got another 90-degree right to take. Very, very tough segment of the circuit, this one in certainly in particular. You've got to try and keep hold of the car. It can be very treacherous as he now makes his way around the next left-hander. Now he's heading into the middle sector proper out of turn 7 into turn 8 now. And very shortly he'll be tackling that double left-hand bend. And as he does so, just smoothing the throttle through, smoothing the steering wheel, just allowing a little bit of breathing space. He now punches down the straight, down towards turn 11, and very shortly rounding in the spoonish type curve at turns 12 and 13. Where would you say is the more treacherous points on this circuit, Andy? Because there's plenty of variation in these corners, as I said before. Where are the key points in order to gain time?
Well, I'd say turns 1 and 2 and 3. Well, 1 and 2, because it's so important to carry enough speed in there, George, to carry that momentum through the corner, because you know, if you touch the throttle through there, you find yourself going wider. So you want to glide in and carry the momentum through 1 and 2 and just kind of lift off throttle, ease your way in. So that's an area of the track you can gain plenty of time. And if you're quite stable and you're quite confident through 7 and 8 and you can stop the rear from stepping out, you can gain time there. 9 and 10 as well, George, getting the correct line through there to slingshot yourself into turn 10, and of course that really tricky turn 11 and 12 section, getting on the throttle nice and early, picking the right line to take you down that 1 kilometre straight is probably the most important bit of the entire racetrack. There is tricky braking zones too though, into that turn 11 especially, and into turn 6, both very tight corners, very easy to lock a front wheel and, you know, snatch a brake, go wide and ruin the lap entirely. And of course can't forget the biggest stopping point on the racetrack down into turn 14 as well. So there is a lot of challenges around the track in general, George. There's a lot of mixtures and corners, high speed, low speed, gradual sweeping corners that you go into slowly. So it is a real mixed bag for the drivers, and there's so many different challenges, and that's why whoever gets pulled today will truly deserve it, and they've mastered a really tricky track. And I think that's why a lot of the drivers sometimes don't like it, because it can be a real pain for them, because it is such a challenging circuit.
Yeah, I mean, that final corner is really tough because you're heading into it in such high speed, it can be hard to keep a toe on it, and heading around turn 16, it can be either be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. It's just like Marmite, if anything. So it's a case of just trying to hang on and see if you can actually hit the corner without, you know, invalidating. But we did see there Shanaka Clay doing just that, heading around that hellacious turn 16, lost the car slightly, went out, well out wide. I believe it also invalidated his lap, so he's going to have to go again at some point. But this time, crucially, folks, Q2, obviously the qualifying time, as always, gets smaller and smaller. The window for opportunity gets less and less, and certainly it's all up to these guys to certainly land the blows on this circuit. But reasonable start, though, by Floris Fears, getting himself underway with a 130.519 that we already know we can expect 129s though, can't we, Andy? So initial laps, maybe not the quickest. They're just setting a bar, setting the initial time, and then they'll come out with something with, I would say, around 5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, I think we'll might even see a 28 in this session, George. They just seem to just build it up slowly and slowly, get to grips with the track, find the limits, and then really right at the end when the pressure's on and the adrenaline's pumping, they find those extra few tens to pop into the 28s. But just quickly on that topic of turn 16, George, it is so difficult. I mean, I never mentioned it moments ago, but you know, it's tough because you feel like you've nailed the whole lap up to that point. You get there, you've got that little bit of doubt in your mind. I don't want to attack this too much. If I cut it on the inside, I've ruined the lap. If I carry too much speed, I'm on the outside. I've invalidated the whole lap. You're coming up to the line, and not only that, you often invalidate your next lap. So it's one of those corners where you need to approach it with care. if you want to get the ideal lap. I mean, you can push, and sometimes risk does reward you, and you nail it. But on other occasions, and far too often sometimes, you end up invalidating the whole lap and wasting 3 minutes of your session. And you don't want to be wasting 3 minutes of your session when there's only 15 minutes to be wasted.
No, absolutely. Every minute counts. And naturally, these drivers know that better than anybody. They need to take stock of exactly what they've got and then try and land or make the best of it at least. And now this man could certainly do just that. Valentin Bruffair in the Mercedes, who was very rapid in Q1, got himself through alongside his teammate Jake Benham as they now come up through the next chicane, semi-chicane, leading into the next right. And this is where you really need to sort of just gently push the throttle, just smooth it out a little bit, and then power down the stretch now, full throttle. Of course, 1,000 brake horsepower in these cars. They now cross now the DRS line, opening it up and sending it down towards turn 14. Very shortly the speed trap will light up, and before he heads into the hairpin, leading him out into turn 15, down towards that final corner that we discussed, turn 16, as incoming now, Valentin Bruffair. What can he land here on medium tyres? Let's see what he can do. Comes around the final corner. Oh, just ran over the curb. They're very close to an invalidation. Is it? No, it's not. It's a P1 time of 130.207. Not bad at all, but as we said before, 129 is expected, or could be 128.
Yeah, well, it could be if we see people on the soft tyre. Good effort there from Valentin Bruffair. We were speaking about turn 16 moments ago. That looked like perfect to me, pushing it to the absolute limit and getting away with it in that final corner. So, and the lap time shows it 3/10 quicker than the time from Floris Viers. So, great effort there from Valentin Bruffair to open his account for this session. And that's kind of what we've seen there, the tactics that we suspected. Everyone sits in the garage on softs, a couple on the mediums, and then they invite a few cars out, and then the rest go, okay, time to stop being shy. I'm going out on the medium tyres to show you what I can do. Simon Shootout is out there right now. He's currently P13, making his way down that long 1 kilometre straight on the medium tyres. Let's see what he can do in comparison to the likes of Valentin Bruffair. Into the hairpin, we will see plenty of overtaking in today's race, and then makes his way out of there and then opens up that final corner by using all the curb he can as Jake Benham goes second quickest, and here comes Simon to the line. What's it going to be? It's P2. He splits the Mercedes with a 130.243. So early signs suggesting drivers going for mediums, George, but there's a possibility at the end a few of them might try and sneak a set of softs on to try and topple some of them and knock them out of Q2, sorry.
Absolutely. Top times currently are 130.207. A lot of the drivers opt in for that medium tyre strategy, so they were opting for the mediums in Q2. That was the plan all along, at least for the initial period. Ulas Yildirim now making his way around the final corner. Can he join the others at the top end? You firmly expect him to do so as he comes across the line. No, is that another invalidation there, Andy? Certainly did not seem to handle it, or is that just a 140, a slow lap as such?
Yeah, just a slow lap. Not too sure if he's setting off somewhere on there or he's bringing the tyres in with one lap. Not too sure what the intention is there from Ulas Yildirim. But let's see what he does in the first sector here then. That'll give us an idea if he's pushing on a second run. What's it going to be through that first sector? 23.7. So no doubt about it. It's purple, in fact. So he is going for it on the soft compound tyre by the looks of it. So he's not interested in a set of medium tyres. So let's see what he does on this lap. And will that frighten a few of the other drivers on the medium tyre into the pits and onto a set of softs? So Ulas Yildirim pushing out there and going for a purple lap time to light the timing screens up and try and force some of the field out there onto a set of the red banded soft compound tyres. Into the middle sector he goes. He's purple again. 50.7 through there, and now he negotiates that really tricky part of the track. You need to be so patient through there and then get onto the throttle, use the banking, and then roll down that long back straight and power into this DRS section. The rear wing opening up then for Ulas Yildirim, and now he's only got the hairpin and 1 corner to go before he completes this lap. Is he going to go quickest of all? 4.5 minutes to go in this session. Through the hairpin he goes, gets on the throttle nice and early, climbing up through the gears. 6th, 7th as he approaches that final corner. Maybe no, just downshifts into 5th at the last possible moment, using all the track he can. DRS open, and it's the quickest time of the session, a 130.158. Not setting the world alight, but it's enough to go quickest on the soft compound tyre.
Absolutely is, and he knows for sure that he can go quicker than that. And I'm sure later on we'll see them all strap on a fresh set of tyres. This man, Liam Parnell, of course, the man with a 5-place grid penalty, making his way down towards the final. He mastered that final bend at turn 16. Arguably could have pushed it a little bit more, but it's enough to get him into P4 on the medium compounded tyre. So it just goes to show he does have pace around this circuit, Andy.
Yeah, he sure does have pace around this circuit. Louis Welsh out there now as well. He's going through that first sector. Didn't quite see the time through the first sector is showing up as purple, so it must be a very good lap so far for Louis Welsh then in the Ferrari. So Ulas Ojildrum is the quickest so far with a 130.1 on the soft compound tyre, I believe. So let's see what we're going to see now from Louis Welsh as he makes his way up to that middle sector. What's going to be 50.7 we've seen so far from others, and it's a 50.7 from him as well. So this is looking like a really tidy lap on a set of medium tyres from Louis Welsh, and this might frighten a few of them that are starting on mediums too, because he's putting himself in a really strong position here if he can get this lap together, potentially moving ahead of Valentin Bruffer on medium tyres here, perhaps even matching the time we've seen from Ulas Ojildrum so far. So let us see what Louis Welsh can do. He's looking very, very strong out there at the minute as he makes his way through that hairpin and up towards the end of the lap. This could be a new bar setter from Louis Welsh on the medium tyre. Sweeping into that final corner he goes, using all the track up against the curb. This looks very special. It is very special. It's a 130.143. Take that message from Louis Welsh to the rest. Brilliant.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder whether Ulas Ojildrum actually has medium tyres on for that lap. I just wonder whether there might be a little glitch on the game for that one. Same could be said for Jake Benham as well. But incredible from Louis Welsh to set the 130.143 on medium tyres. That puts him in a very good position, certainly for the rest of this session. Jake Benham and Simon Shooter opted to retire. So is Liam Parnell. They're very happy with what's been set. Bruffer doing the same as well. That's interesting. Ruben Pedreño now making his way around the final. Well, certainly the slow right-hander, but albeit he's actually on the slow lap himself right now, certainly not looking to light things up just yet. Shanaka Clay making his way through the middle sector as well. He's out on medium tyres, very shortly round to the next left, soon to bustle his way down the stretch between turns 10 and 11. Can the Aston Martin do the business here today? Certainly many have tipped him to be at the top end of this classification heading into the race. We've only got just under a minute and a half remaining here, folks, with squeaky bum time certainly. As you can see, plenty of drivers now heading out on outlaps, most of them, should I say, selecting the medium compounder tyre. Here comes Shanaka Clay now, down the stretch, in between turns 13 and 14 with the DRS opened up now. He knows that there's only minutes or seconds await before the end of this session, needs to get the job done. Crucially now, a little bit of loss of rear traction, heading out of that hairpin bend now as they round the final turn 16, coming round it now, crossing the line. What can the green one do now? Can the Aston Martin in the top? P5 is what he gets. And on medium tyres, a 130.276, approximately 1.5 tenths slower than that of Louis Welsh.
There's going to be a few surprises in this session. I don't know if they're going to be that bothered or if they get a fresh set of mediums for Q for the start of the race, but I think the likes of Jake Benham could be on a sugary peg here. Mattis van Erven too, because Ruben Pedreño is out there on a set of softs and he has got a plan to try and knock some of them out, and he's gone purple through the first sector as well as Pedreño. Perhaps not very surprising given the tyres he's on. 50.8 though up to the second sector. It wasn't the greatest second sector, but he should still quite easily go ahead of some of these drivers on the likes of a 130.3, George.
Yeah, he certainly will do. He's heading around the next right now, and soon he'll come out on the long straight out of turn 13 and bombing down towards turn 14 now. The speed trap will be at the end of this straight. As I said previously, Pedreño certainly looking to push. The pushing Pedreño coming down now into the next hairpin bend. Tries to use all the track, using some of the curbs, heading through the bend. That was clean. That was brilliant there from Ruben Pedreño, utilising those soft tyres with all the grip. Heading around turn 16 now. You'd fancy him to do it well, and he certainly has done that. Oh, very close to the curb. Is it enough? P5 is what he lands, a 130.272. I can't help but feel, Andy, that these are definitely medium tyres these guys are donning right now.
Well, Caraton's absolutely flying too. He's going to get through. He goes third quickest. I tell you who's absolutely on a mission right now. It's Ruben Vallejo, and he is going to absolutely smash everyone, and he must be on softs, going with the lap time I'm seeing from him right now up to the second sector. Jake Benham is on the bubble, and like I suspected, he's going to be out in a few moments' time when Ruben Vallejo completes this lap. If he keeps it all together through the final couple of corners, it's going to be goodbye to our championship leader in qualifying too. Vallejo to the line, he's going to smash them. Wow. 129.5. That must be on a soft compound tyre. And now Yamilo crosses the line. He's out. It's only P14. Thomas Harvey's out there, but he's going slowly. He's half a second down on his previous best. Surely he's out as well. What about Floris Veers? He's 6 tenths up on his previous best, and he's definitely on softs too, and he could be challenging Ruben Vallejo at the top. Liam Parnell is on the bubble, and his bubble's about to burst if Floris comes to the end of the lap. In fact, he's going to be saved because Floris slowed right down and did not want to go through. So Liam Parnell gets through thanks to that. Wow.
Yeah, a little look at that P11 spot from Floris Spheres. Obviously, a lot of them like to use it because it gives you the option of what tyres you want heading into the race. So interesting tactics there from the Alpine as we now take a look at the standings heading into Q3. Ruben Vallejo tops the timing tower with a soft tyre time of 129.516 with Louis Welsh in P2, with Ulas Zildrim in behind, as well as Alvaro Caraton, Valentine Brufair, then followed by Nicholas Mateo, Thyman Shooter, Ruben Pedreño, Shanaka Clay, Liam Parnell in P10 as well. We lose Jake Benham, who holds onto that P11 spot. That's crucial heading into the race. Let's see what he can do with it. Mattis van Herven in P12 as well, with Floris Spheres in P13, Thomas Harvey 14th, and Dario Yamilo in P15. So I get the impression, Andy, that time from Jake Benham getting that P11 spot, I get the feeling that was the plan to begin with.
It could be, Josh. It could have been the plan to begin with, but I'd rather be in Q3 starting on mediums. Especially if I can put it on pole.
Absolutely.
I mean, what's the difference between a medium tyre that's brand new and a medium tyre that's done one hot lap? If you're starting on pole and your rivals, if your rivals are starting at the front and you're starting in 11th, so I think he's maybe looked at the lap time and went, it's not great, but I'd rather be outside the top 10 than I'd rather be outside the top 10 than going in it on a set of softs. So, I don't think it was a plan, but I think once he realised what his lap time was, he was kind of snookered and thought, well, I'd rather do this than go in a set of softs. So, not the plan, but it ended up having to be his plan because his lap time wasn't quick enough to get through anyway.
Yeah, certainly an interesting strategy sense there for a big call from Jake Benham. We'll have to see how it pays off for him, obviously, when we head into the race. But we've still got one more session to get through yet, folks. Of course, that being Q3. And we'll look forward to seeing what these drivers can do in the meantime. If you haven't done so already, by the way, folks, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. Of course, all your support definitely certainly helps us actually here at the league. And myself and Ginger Andy very much enjoy bringing you all the action every Sunday without fail from 7 o'clock as well. It's been a very spicy season to get on with. Plenty of drivers looking to make a name for themselves in the world of esports as well. We got a very, very vibrant mixture, obviously mixed up of current esports professionals as well as budding ones that certainly look to be making their merry way onto the grand stage very, very soon. And that's the beauty of league racing, folks. We get to combine the two together and it gives you the best racing on the planet as well. But looking ahead now, obviously we want to hear from you as well. Please light up that live chat. We want to hear, who do you think is going to get pole position now in Q3? Who's your money on? Who do you think will be the one to carry the banner heading into the start of this Chinese Grand Prix? Andy, any tips from you?
You know something, George? I like going for a wee surprise, right? And you know something? I've been very impressed with Louis Welsh so far. I think he's going to spring a big surprise here in this session. I think he looked really good in both sessions up till now. Will it be pole, though? It's a tall order. You know what? I'm going to say it. Louis Welsh, go for pole, my man. Go for it. I like a surprise.
Well, you've made Dan Field's day because he is tipped as well, Louis Welsh for pole. He's also said how handsome we look on camera as well, Andy. How polite of him.
Cheers,
You little charmer,
you.
you, Dan Field. Little charmer. But no, we appreciate it, my friend. I hope you're all enjoying yourself back at home as well. Obviously, the racing never stops here. We didn't get one in real Formula 1 today, as Andy quite rightly put at the start of the broadcast, but we are here nevertheless in China, of all places, folks, where league racing comes first, of course. And we're looking forward to bringing you the best racing on the planet, as I have discussed. So, yes, folks, if you want to get involved as well, make sure you check out the WOR Twitter feed as well. That's at WOR League, and you can get all the latest news surrounding the league as well. This is just before we head into Q3. Of course, we're just waiting for the game to load in, and you can also check me out on Twitter as well. My name is, of course, George Morgan. I am, of course, your commentator at George Morgan TV is where you can find me on Twitter. And Andy, where can they find you?
You can find me just down below there, folks. Ginger Andy F1 on Twitter as well. Like George, I like to promote my commentary stuff as well and promote all the leagues out there in the world of F1 esports and league racing. And, we love doing our stuff. So be sure to check it out. We've always got nice little clips up there of some great action in league racing. So, be sure to check it out. But, George, looking forward to this then, qualifying section. I've gone for Louis Welsh. What are you going for, George? Jump off the fence. Tell us what you think.
Wow. Okay, it's a tough one to call. I mean, obviously, you've got to look at the driver soundtrack. There's plenty there that can make a big difference. Obviously, Ulas Zildrim is certainly one to watch. I mean, Shanaka Clay doesn't mess around. Alvaro Caraton is a huge name as well. I think based on what we've seen, of course, you can't write off Caraton. in my view.
No, you can't.
He is exceptional around a track such as China. I've seen him beat Ottmere here. I've seen him beat Moreno here. He's beaten Rasmussen here in the past. He's beaten many around this circuit. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with around this track. And I firmly tip the Williams driver to do the business yet again here today. He's experienced, he's got the talent, and certainly got the tenacity to win here at China. The Apex Predator's here to stay, and he's looking for a fight. I could see a P1 here for the Spaniard.
Well, he certainly lives up to that name, George, the Apex Predator, because it's a track where you really do need to go searching for the apex, isn't it, in some of these corners, isn't it? So some of these long corners, turn 1 and 2, is it a late apex, is it an early apex? And I'm sure that suits the Apex Predator himself, as you like to call him, because he'll go searching for it, and he will find it on a track as challenging as this. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And by the way, in case you're wondering, folks, we aren't underway for Q3 yet. If you're just joining us, we're waiting on the lobby loading in. I think it's an issue maybe with Yari Fitz, actually. He seems to have a little circle spinning at the minute in the lobby, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. Hopefully we'll get him back soon and we will have the action. But hopefully we're not filling in for 4 hours, George, like poor you did. I was going to say Crofty did, but you had to do it as well with Jack and Taylor Funk earlier, didn't you? Tell us about that.
I spent the afternoon with a professional PGA golfer, which was a lot of fun, and I also spent some time with Jack Canan as well. But yeah, it was so much fun. We were there we were watching the Formula One, hoping to provide some commentary as well. Taylor Funk dropped me a line. He was like, George, yeah, I'd love to do some commentary one day. And I was like, yeah, of course, you come and join us as well. And he came in, and we had the webcams on. We had a great time. We spent obviously 4 hours having to talk about various different things, but it was really entertaining. And he's going for his PGA Tour card this year. He's competing in Q School as well. He's got 3 PGA Tour Q School events to do. So all being well and he performs, he should be able to land himself a Pro Tour card. So we're hoping that. He's a big F1 fan, a huge league racing fan as well. So we got a lot of love for Taylor Funk. And tell you what, he's got a bright future ahead of him if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Yeah, best of luck to him, George, and yeah, hopefully he can become a top league racer, because he's not the first golfer, is he, to jump in? We remember Ian Poulter last year jumped in as well during the pandemic and jumped in and had a bit of fun. So let's see how he gets on, as we are now ready and up and running in qualifying. Some grey skies overhead, George. It's clouding over here in Shanghai. Maybe it's just the typical Shanghai smog, not too sure, but we are ready for qualifying, and it's good to finally bring it to you guys. It's going to be brilliant. I've gone for Louis Welsh. I've stuck my neck out in the line for this one, and yeah, I'm expecting big things from him. Alvaro Caraton, as you said, George, one of the favourites. Shinaka Clay, Simon Shooter, Valentin Bruffer. You know, so much quality in this field. We can't even forget the likes of Ruben Vallejo. We've got 2 Rubens in Q3 here, Ruben Pedreño and Ruben Vallejo. Ruben Vallejo, of course, back in Brazil, winning brilliantly in the social races in pre-season. So much to look forward to here. The cars are out on the track. It's Q3. It's been a week from hell in the world of esports and league racing. A week from hell today. A day from hell in the terms of Formula One as well. Not getting a Grand Prix. Time to light the racetrack up and give you all a fantastic final qualifying session and race here in Shanghai, as we have a few drivers starting laps, and the first to do so, it's the Apex Predator, Alvaro Caraton, George.
It certainly is. He comes across the line and sends it around turn 1, folks. So I want to hear from you now. Light up the live chat. Who do you think is going to take pole position in this, well, certainly in this session for this Chinese Grand Prix race? It's going to be absolutely sensational. Caraton now looking to bid for another podium, or another podium again, or another race win. In fact, he could do this, heading around the next right-hander now, looking to at least grab another pole position if he can. The Apex Predator does not mess around when it comes to these tight affairs, as he now makes his way down towards the next left. Downfield says Louis, Liam or Valentin. TSR Maurice wants to know what happens with Jack. I mean, I think you mean Jack can... would you mean Jake? I believe Jake Benham's obviously out of Q2. Sticking with Ruben Vallejo, says Gareth Davis. Ben Camiso, Alvaro or Ulas on pole, he says. Jasper Eaton, George, we never turn to commentating on Xbox. Who knows what the future holds there, Jasper. But as they now make their way around the next right-hander, plenty of drivers to keep an eye on. Louis Welch out on an outlap. Every car out on track here, folks, as now Alvaro Caraton bombs down the stretch, leading down towards the final hairpin of turn 14, certainly crossing the DRS line like he already has done, coming down towards this very, very significant right-hander. Can he get the right entrance and exit out of this corner? He does so out of turn 15 now, soon to be rising around turn 16. What lap time is the Apex Predator going to set for us here? A bit slidey. And in the final corner, is it enough though? It's a 29.216. What a way to start. 8.5 minutes left, and that's a way to start a qualifying session.
Yeah, great lap from Caraton. The middle sector was absolutely sensational. No one able to match it. Ulas Ozildrum was the closest to doing so. So what can he do as he comes to the line? Can he get near Caraton? He can. He's only half a tenth away from Caraton. What a time that is from Ulas Ozildrum. Brilliant effort. Vallejo in the final corner, all over the road. Where does he go? He goes fifth quickest. Who else is out there? Valentin Bruffer is also going quickly. He has also matched those two through the first and second sectors. Bruffer has time and shoots to the top of the 29.1. Bruffer 29.1 as well and beats them all. Great time from Bruffer, and it's a 29.119. The opening shot goes to Valentin Bruffer.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant from Bruffer. That is sensational. And goes over a tenth quick, well, nearly a tenth quicker than Alvaro Caraton. And Louis Welsh is also out on the lap as well.
He's doing it.
Is he flying?
He's flying. He's absolutely flying, George. He's going to do it, I think. Come on, Louis.
Yeah, Louis Welsh around the next right-hander out of the Spoonish time curve of turn 13. And he's going to cross the DRS line. Surely not from the pad man, is it? As he now plows his way down. The rain is starting. This is crucial. Get your laps down now, Louis. As he now crosses through turn 14. Can he land it here with the droplets forming here in the clouds here of Shanghai? Rounding through the final corner at turn 16. Flying like a jettison aeroplane down across the line. Can he do it? P3 is all he can land, but it's still brilliant. A 129.175, well within a tenth of a second. He is up there for dancing. He's up there for fighting. Welcome, Louis Welsh.
Oh, look how close it is. The top six covered by a tenth of a second. Louis Welsh, the king, on the pad. I thought he was going to do it, George. He was brilliant through sector 1 and 2. Perhaps just losing a fraction of time, and it's just not enough to dislodge the likes of Bruffer and Thiamine Shooter. I wait for him for pole. It doesn't look like it's going to be because the rain is falling and the optimum track conditions have disappeared, it seems. We'll have to wait and see if that is indeed the case. Perhaps it was just the rain falling, George. Maybe he lost the time because of the rain falling. Not too sure.
Yeah, it could have been. Obviously, the track now getting a little bit slippery, and any plus that Louis gained, of course, would have gone away potentially in Sector 3, but incredible. Absolutely sensational. That's exactly what we like to see, folks. Competitiveness across this grid. Pedreño is already out. We're just waiting to see if the other cars retire now as well. It might be a very early finish to this Q3 session, ladies and gentlemen. We're just waiting to find out whether these drivers will look to go out again. Is it just a brief rain spell? We have got, I believe that's Liam Parnell going out.
Yeah, Liam Parnell immediately goes straight back out there, determined to get a second run in. Has the optimum conditions disappeared? Is it just going to be a light drizzle, though? Because we've seen that as well recently, didn't we? Was it in PSGL that were able to go back out onto slick tyres, George, a couple of nights ago, if I'm not mistaken? So let's wait and see what Liam Parnell can do.
Well, we'll have to see if he can land a heavy blow. Certainly, Alvaro Caraton is also out on a night lap, so he's convinced he can go quicker. So I doubt that they would be out if they didn't think that the track still had something in it. I mean, they've still got 5 minutes of qualifying left to do. They might as well use the time that's given to them as they now come down towards the next left at turn 7. And you'll have turn 8 still to go. I have to say it's the calm before the storm, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say that... if you pardon the pun, obviously with the rain coming down, hopefully it's not like what we saw in Belgium earlier today. As they're around the next left-hander coming down through turn 11, or turn 10 into turn 11 now. And very shortly he'll round the, well, turn 11 into turn 12, out of turn 13 as well, down the long stretch in between that of turn 14, where the DRS will open up. And you can see that still the droplets are continuing to fall. I hope it's not with us for long, Andy.
Yeah, hopefully not, because we always love a nice climax to qualifying, George. You know, we build it up to Q1 and 2. We don't want this anti-climax and those opening runs being the only runs that matter. So let's have a look then at Liam Parnell. Let's see what his... Well, who's the first across the line? It's going to be Caraton, isn't it? So let's see what his first sector is going to look like. If it's anywhere slower by quite a bit, I think we've lost the best of the weather. If it's challenging his first sector the first time round, then we might be onto something. It was a 29.5, I think, to the first sector. It was a something 0.5. I'm not sure if it was a 29, but if it's a 0.5, then we are on for something here. We are going to have a final shootout. Let's see what Caraton does. Was it maybe a 23.5 last time round? It's a 23.7, and he's losing nearly 2/10. And I sadly have to report, George, I think this might be it as Caraton slides the rear going out of turn 6.
Yeah, I think the grip is starting to go away from them now, Andy. I think they needed to be out a lot sooner than what they were. Nicholas Mateo and Ruben Vallejo are also out, so is Simon Shooter, of course, who was budding for that P1 spot, but Valentin Brufair pipped him too. I think Valentin can sit comfortably there in P1 right now because, of course, he's on top. He does not need to improve, and hopefully the weather will do him a favour, as though we're seeing Caraton hustle and bustle now up through turn 11 and into turn 12, and he will then cruise out of turn 12 into turn 13, heading down the stretch then towards the hairpin bend at turn 14. The Williams driver looking to try and add some much needed impetus into this lap, but certainly still the rain is coming down. It's never ending, certainly here at Shanghai. And we'll hope that it doesn't make a feature in the race, that's for sure. Albeit, though, it would add some extra impetus to strategy. But we will have to see whether that does make an appearance. As they now come around turn 16 now. What can Caraton do? He's going into the pit lane. And certainly it seems to me, Andy, that they're not going to be improving on this lap.
Yeah, that's it, George. What's quite funny about all this is they all seem to set us off tyres in Q1, and interestingly, they might have actually needed them for this session. They might have needed the inters for this session that they went and burnt up. But no, you know, these things happen, don't they? And it looks like that is the end of qualifying. And I think it's fair to announce already, George, that it's going to be pole position to Valentin Brufair. None of us called it right. Simon Shooter second and Louis Welsh third. Literally nothing separating those top three drivers. We've got 3/10 covering the top 9. Ruben Pedreño not quite getting the lap together that he was hoping for. And that is going to be the order for the start of this Grand Prix, by the looks of it, George. So a very tasty grid, a very exciting grid, and it could provide us with our third different winner from 3 races.
It certainly could do, and Valentin Brufair is certainly no one to be trifled with on the best of occasions. I mean, his teammate, of course, we know all about Jake Benham, who is, of course, tipped to be one of the greats in F1 esports, and certainly Valentin Brufair has come close to many occasions with Jake Benham. Certainly last season we saw him in PSGL. Those two were battling ever so frequently. Simon Shooter is another one to watch as well. Ulas Azildrim, who is making his way through the echelons of league racing as well, has been very, very prosperous in his occasions when racing at certainly big leagues, and you firmly expect him to be challenging at the top end himself as well, as we're now watching Simon Shooter have his car wheeled into the garage. Very shortly we will go through the final lap times, of course, the classification, and Valentin Brufair is confirmed your fastest driver on pole position. Simon Shooter in P2 for Alfa Romeo with Louis Welsh. What a time of a 129.175, just beat the rain to it, and P3 is what he gets. Alvaro Caraton in P4 with Ulas Azildrim. P5 Shanaka Clay. P6 with Liam Parnell. P7 he will take a grid penalty, though. He'll be down in P12. Nicholas Mateo in P8, Ruben Vallejo in P9, and Ruben Pedreño in P10. But how about that, Andy? Certainly a few faces we did not expect to be at the top end. One man, I think, one in particular, the padman Louis Welsh. Sensational lap from him.
Yes, sensational lap. For me, George, 100%. He was start of qualifying. Special mention to Ulas Ozildrim as well. I thought that was a great effort to go P5-2 from him. So 2 big performances from them there. The likes of Brufair and Shooter very strong at the top too. But no, I'm delighted with that lap from Louis Welsh. Brilliant. I mean, I'm supposed to be neutral in commentary, but I'm not going to lie. I was hoping he took the pole there. It would have been some story, wouldn't it, on the pad, taking pole position, but wasn't quite to be for him. And I think he's got every chance in the Grand Prix. I think anybody in the top 10, or even those outside on fresh tyres, have got an opportunity. I'm looking forward to it, George. It should be a cracker, and it will make up for the farcical week we've had in the world of league racing, and of course the farcical day in Formula 1 as well today. So yeah, should be a cracker. Dry conditions, blue skies and sunshine, perfect conditions for round 3 of the championship here in China.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're quite right, Andy. We've had certainly a real week of it, I would say. Certainly given what's been happening with league racing. Obviously, it's amazing to see what this community can do. And they all stand together and unite, certainly in times of difficulty. And it's great to have everybody out and about, certainly supporting what league racing has certainly done and certainly brought and given to us ever since its inception so many years ago. And it just goes to show it was around a lot longer, and it can provide you with just as good a racing action and certainly as good a broadcast as well. Well, we tried to give you one anyway, but nevertheless, we're going to look forward to this race nevertheless. And Andy, obviously we want to talk tips heading into this race. You know, who do you think is going to light things up on this grid tonight?
It's going to be interesting, George. It's going to be very interesting. I'm interested to see what the people outside the top 10 can do, the likes of Benham, Van Erven. What can they do with that differing strategy? That'll be one to watch. I don't know, George. I really don't know. I think it's too early in the season still to be sitting here saying he's going to be the favourite, this driver's going to be the favourite, because into all 3 races now, we've got an opportunity of having 3 different winners. The first race in Bahrain was just mental. It was absolutely mental, George. Second race, with the wet weather, mixing it up too, but now we've got a real opportunity with a dry Grand Prix to see who can become the top dog here in China today. It's going to be interesting, George. I've got no idea. I think we'll have to watch out for Caraton. We know how strong he is. We know his experience will be able to tell. Often experience is underrated, but experience is so important. And there's a lot of young drivers in this grid, and he'll be trying to show them up. That'll be what he's trying to do. Shinaka Clay as well, P6, very strong driver too. It's going to be interesting, George. I'm looking forward to it. There's so many out there that could be up near the front. I think it's going to be the tightest race of the season so far. I really do think so.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think it certainly has shown that in qualifying, and just look at that, the top 7 all on medium tyres as well. So we've got lots to look forward to heading into this race. We want to hear from you, folks. Please land your tips as to who you think is going to win this Chinese Grand Prix. It's a pleasure to be with you here tonight for your Sunday night, and racing has never got better here at WOR. Please make sure you leave a like and a subscribe to all the socials. Check us out on Twitter as well at WOR League. It's been a pleasure. Please make sure you land your tips in the live chat. We want to hear from you, and get ready for the start of this sensational Grand Prix as we now watch the drivers now tail up into the rear of the field. Jari Fitz joining up, as well as Lefted, who spots himself on the rear right of the field. Here we go, folks. It all starts here. Let's get ready. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. And what a start from Thyman Shooter, who immediately pounced on top of Valentine Brufair, who very nearly lost out to Caraton as well. Louis Welsh taking the long way round out of turn 1 into turn 2. Still leading Thyman Shooter, though. What a start he got as well. Louis Welsh losing out to Caraton. How about that from the Apex Predator? He found his way around now. Wheel to wheel with Louis Welsh. The Ferrari in jeopardy as the Williams goes at it here. Coming down towards the next right. Dive bomb here from Alvaro Caraton. Wow, what an effort there from the Apex Predator. He is simply that. He is a Predator, and he immediately lands P2. What a start, Andy.
What a start from Thyman Shooter. He flew off the line. It's been eclipsed though by that brilliant piece of driving from Alvaro Caraton, using his experience through turns 1 and 2 to get the way through on Louis Welsh, and then diving down the inside of Brufair. He was quite lucky though, because there was a dive bomb behind Louis Welsh. Louis Welsh was going to try and undercut the two of them, but he got dive bomb as well, and they all went wide, and Caraton is up into second place, the big winner at the front of the field. Matthias Van Erven's up 3, Daniel Yamilo's up 5, and Samuel Liber is up 6 at the start. We've got a few drivers going backwards. Jake Benham, the championship leader, George, is at the back of the field.
He certainly is. Jake Benham not getting the best of starts. He's trying to fight his way back, as you can see. Just look at the train at the back. They've all opted to go for the inside line, and there you can see a battle leading up towards the hairpin bend. Here Parnell coming to blows. Thomas Harvey trying to get past Ulas Azildrim. He might have done just that though. Excellent traction again at the final hairpin bend. Round turn 16, and Thomas Harvey moves his way up into P13 as well. But it's not over yet, because they're Parnell is still in the fight. He's still in the scrap as they make their way towards turn 1. Wheel to wheel, 3 wide. Heading up to the bend now. Liam Parnell outside line holds on. In comes Ulas Azildrim. Wow, what a punishing blow there from the McLaren. Deep dive down the inside. Jari Fitz doing exactly the same as well. It's absolutely phenomenal racing here, Andy. The racecraft has been sensational.
See what happened there in the background. Shanakenshi, I think, went for a spin at turn 1. Not sure if there was contact there. He has now dropped right to the back of the field in all of this. But great racing going on in the midfield at the minute. What a start to this Chinese Grand Prix. 3 laps out of 28. We've been racing for about 5 minutes. We've seen more than what we've seen in 4 hours in Belgium today. Brilliant.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Thomas Harvey still fighting it with the Aston Martin of Jari Fitz. Not got a great camera angle there, folks. But Jari Fitz applying his trade here as he've come around the next right. Well, certainly the next left, sorry, in turn 10. Coming into turn 11. And the Aston Martin still holding on, at least for now. But Thomas Harvey all over him like a flannel. Coming down the inside through turn 13. Soon they'll be making their way down the straight. These two will battle again. But Jari Fitz on board. Brilliant brilliant stuff. Look at that rear wing though. Still Thomas Harvey, a relentless figure in an F1 car. Tries to move up here on the Aston Martin, utilising the slipstream. Comes up alongside, very shortly into the next hairpin bend again. Round turn 14 they go. Wheel to wheel on the outset. This time though, Thomas Harvey trying to land a blow to get on top. Diamond Shooter fastest lap, and Thomas Harvey take a bow. Sensational effort. He takes P15.
Good stuff there going on in the midfield, but that's a really good start Diamond Shooter's had to this Grand Prix. Fastest lap, 6/10 the gap at the front. He's trying to extend it out there as it's all happening further down. Jake Benham trying to make his way through the field from a slow start to this Grand Prix. I'm trying to shuffle down there, George. I'm having a bit of an issue with my keyboard at the minute, but it's all happening and Jake Benham is flying.
He is indeed. He's just dispatched Thomas Harvey and Yari Fitz in a row. Absolutely brilliant in the space of a single corner, or a series of corners heading around turns 1 to turn 3 as they come now around that right-hander. Jake Benham electrifying the crowds here in China with some exuberant moves. Brilliant stuff indeed, utilising that black arrow to the best of his ability, but he's got such a long way to go. Remember, he didn't have the best of starts. He was locked at the back of the grid, but this is a superb recovery drive. Lap 3 and has already made 5 places, Andy. Sensational effort.
Yeah, he knows he needs to get a move on. He doesn't want to have too much damage to his championship lead. I spoke at the top of the show, George, about how important it was picking up points in every single Grand Prix, and one of his rivals, Alvaro Carreton, has failed to do that, of course, having failed to score in the opening race. So he'll be wanting to make sure, if this is one of his bad ones, he's still picking up some important points. But it seems like it's all happening down towards the rear end of the field, George. We've got Samuel Libert going side by side with several cars further down through the field. What's happening there? Libert side by side into the braking zone with Liam Parnell, and Parnell has got himself ahead there. He's been in the thick of the action so far, as Liam Parnell hasn't he? And he's ahead of Samuel Libert, who drops to 14th and into the clutches of the flying Jake Benham, who really is a man on the mission at the start of this Grand Prix. He's tucked right up behind now. Is he going to go for the move into turn 1? What's happening, George?
Yeah, Nicholas Mateo with a dynamic move on the outside now. Ruben Vallejo as they now challenge each other. Whoa, my word. I have to say, wheel to wheel, nose to tail. Lewis Welch as well, trying to power through. It was actually Mateo that Mateo was actually having a go at. Sorry, Lewis Welch, he was having a go at as they come down towards the next right. Both of them powered by Ferrari engines, but I have to say, Mateo not able to get one over on Louis Welch, at least for now. Ruben Vallejo has got a fight of his own on the table, though. Mattis van Herven giving him a little bit of a headache with Shanaka Clay not far in behind as well. What a phenomenal race to kick us off, though. The first 4 laps have been nothing short of exquisite, and we're hoping we get to see some more of this, Andy. This is sensational racing.
It is indeed. Libert also had an issue at turn 1 on that lap, a bit like Akenji. I'm not sure if he was hit from behind by Benham or anything like that. Don't know, but he went spinning at turn 1 and he's now dropped to the back of the pack. That now means that Jake Benham's up to 14th. Shanna Kenshi still at the back after his earlier off as well. But Alvaro Carreton has got the bit between his teeth. He's turning the screw here on Diamond Shooter, who was looking very good in the opening laps. And now Carreton with the DRS is reeling him in, getting closer and closer down the bit long straight into the braking zone. Is he close enough for a move? No, he's not. He stays where he is. Matthias van Herven, though, he's on the outside of Ruben Vallejo into the hairpin. He tries to cut back on the exit. The Haas driver, is he going to get the run on Vallejo into the final corner? No, he's not. He's too far back.
Yeah, but he might have a chance if DRS opens up this time as they come down the stretch now. You can see in the midst, there's Mattis van Herven right in the slipstream. Is there an opportunity here for the Haas? Not this time. Still holding on is that man, Ruben Vallejo, coming around turn 1. Jake Benham setting the fastest lap. And look at him hightailing around the next right, dispatching Floris Viers. Up into P12 now, Jake Benham. He is absolutely flying, is the man in the Mercedes. Certainly taking a few lessons from the Flying Dutchman, Jarno Uppbeat, and doing it in tremendous style. P12 there from the newly signed Veloce driver, branding the Mercedes car right now with his incredible pace. I gotta say, watch out for Benham. He is going to be extraordinary in this race. Still plenty of laps left, 23 remaining. I tell you what, Benham could be a figure at the end of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, he sure could be. He's making up for lost time, George, that's for sure. Not hanging around. He's gone up 8 places in 5 laps after that early moment on the opening lap. But look at Matthias van Herven. He's all over the back of Ruben Vallejo here in the fight for 6th and 7th. They were battling on the previous lap down into the hairpin. Will they be battling once again as they make their way through that long turn 12? So frustrating, waiting to pick the throttle up. And Vallejo's a little bit out of shape. He gets high on the curb. And van Herven now will get right in his slipstream. They'll both have the advantage of the DRS. But here comes Matthias Van Erven pulling alongside Ruben Vallejo, and it's going to be a drag race into the braking zone. Who will break the latest? Van Erven's up the inside. Vallejo is trying his best to hold it round the outside, but he can't do that. And Van Erven in the Haas has made a beautiful move on the medium tyres, and he moves up into 6th place.
Smoothly does it there, Mattis Van Erven doing bits, certainly for the Haas team, and they'll love it. And he's already within DRS of Ruben Vallejo as well, so he's managing these race absolutely perfectly. In behind as well, you've got Dario Yamilo right on the rear of Ruben Pedreño as well. Those two coming to blows as well as they now make their way. You can see him taking the inside line. We got battles with Shanaka Clay also doing bits as well, trying to tackle Ruben Vallejo himself as they make their way around now. Just squeezing him slightly, Ruben Vallejo, but stupendous stuff as Ruben Pedreño now with Dario Yamilo down the inside. Makes a move heading into the next right-hander. Soon as they do so, still wheel to wheel, but the Alpha Tauri, brilliant stuff, brilliant, attacking where it mattered most and makes its way up into P9. What a move by Dario Yamilo.
It's all going on. Shanaka Clay went for the dive bomb up the inside into turn 6, a bit like Caraton did in the opening lap, although he didn't make it stick. He went deep, and Ruben Vallejo said, thank you very much, I'll just steam back up the inside then. Great action going on here throughout the midfield. What a start to this Grand Prix, and I tell you what, Jake Benham wasting no time getting within DRS of this massive group of cars, and he will be picking them off one by one in a few moments' time. But Shanaka Clay with the bit between his teeth. Ruben Vallejo does not have DRS to the car in front, so it's going to be a bit of a sitting duck here, you would think. Vallejo in trouble in that Ferrari. Here comes the Aston Martin then. Parking it in the middle of the road is Vallejo. Down the inside goes Shanaka Clay, and that should be easy. It is easy into the braking zone, and he is through as Julas Ozildrum makes a move on Pedreño into the braking zone, and he's also through and up into the top 10. Wow.
Yeah, look at Dario Yamilo as well, right on the tail of Ruben Vallejo. I've got to say, Vallejo's maybe starting to feel a little uncomfortable, but going wide there, Dario Yamilo, and that won't help either because he's got a very, very fast Julas Ozildrum in behind as well with Ruben Pedreño hot on his tail. I tell you what, all this battling has brought Jake Benham right up with them in this field as well. He's closed up and he's within 0.4 of a second. Jake Benham, the all-star, showing exactly why he's all-star quality right now. He's been literally prosaically grinding his way through this field and has done just that. Dario Yamilo going for the unthinkable, the outside line on Ruben Vallejo, heading into the next round in turn 6, looks to get the switch back, but no, Vallejo shuts the door, and it very nearly caused Yamilo to lose it a little bit and open the door for Julas Ozildrum. Fascinating encounter in the midfield, Andy.
Yeah, I like the plan there from Yamilo. I didn't like the execution, just a little bit too much curb, a little bit happy on the throttle. If he was a little bit more patient, he might have been able to pull it off on the switchback, but he just couldn't manage it. But we've got quite a scrap developing between these guys, and Jake Benham joining the group now, right on the tail. We've got, what, 5 cars, all dueling over 8th position, and it's all 5 different constructors as well. That's what we love to see in WOR. Great variety with all these drivers battling away as Vallejo is once again struggling on those soft tyres. He's the cork in a champagne bottle, and here comes Dario Yamilo. Meanwhile, at the front, we have a change of leadership, because here comes Alvaro Caraton from 4th on the grid, makes his way through past Diamond Shooter and into the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. He's going for his 2nd successive win, and on lap 7 out of 28 at 1/4 race distance, he hits the front here in China.
Yeah, he was very wide though. Jake Benham also going for blood as well. P11 he lands, this time on Liam Parnell, though I say Vallejo's actually gone into the pit, so that explains it. Jake Benham moving up yet another spot. He is absolutely flying on those medium tyres, utilising them to perfection now, and he's got Dario Yamilo dead ahead of him here, but amazing from Alvaro Caraton, the Apex Predator, once again lighting things up here at China. I told you that he liked it, Andy, and he is loving it right now. He's currently on top, and certainly my tip for the win here today is showing us exactly why he is the man to lead this Grand Prix as they come around the next right now at turn 6, leading this contingent. Julas Ozildrum with hot on his tail, Ruben Pedreño with Yamilo, who has really been a class act in this race. So is Jake Benham, who's hot on his tail in behind as well. Yari Fitz goes ahead of Lefted, though he does have a penalty, a series of penalties between Piece 12. Oh my word, very close, and Jake Benham, extraordinary move, gets his way up into P10. I did not see that coming, Andy, but I think Julas made a mistake.
He did, he went wide, very, very wide for Ozildrum, and Benham said thank you very much. That's half the field he's passed in 8 laps. He's absolutely flying, and don't be surprised if he's going to pick up another couple here down this straight. Benham is absolutely belting round this Shanghai International Circuit at the minute. Dario Yamilo just in front of us though, attacking Ruben Pedreño. Is he going to go for the move down the inside? He sure is. Yamilo then passing Pedreño, and Jake Benham's there sniffing for a crumb or two as well. Oh, he's hit the back of Pedreño. No damage done though. That could have been a real hit and damage to his Grand Prix, but thankfully no damage done as he hits the back of Pedreño, and he can continue attacking those cars in front. But Yamilo flying and passing Pedreño down the straight.
Yeah, and he might still get him into turn 1. Remember, it's so easy to make a mistake at this very, very, very dangerous bend. This turn 1 that can eventually turn into turn 2 and turn 3. Just look at him. Benham is so effective. He is so effective, so aggressive, but so calculated as well. Look at him right on the rear of Ruben Pedreño, and he's going to make certainly very easy work of this. Can he get it done? Heading into turn 5 into turn 6. A late break would do it. He's going to opt to do it. The All-Star Jake Benham, no, shuts the door, but Pedreño leaves it wide, opens the door, certainly leaves a room, certainly for Benham to try and attack, but not this time. Benham opts against it, but you've got to admit, Andy, he's been sensational.
He has been sensational. He's literally pushing Ruben Pedreño through the corners. He's saying, come on, Ruben, get a move on. I'm having some damage limitation to my championship here. I need to pick up the points. Pedreño is rattled. He's all over the curb. He's all over the AstroTurf there. And now Jake Benham can smell blood. And now he's going to try and line one up as he slingshots through turn 11. He's taking a tighter line through turn 12. The rear end sliding from Jake Benham's car as he's eager to get down on the throttle. He's now using the ERS battery up. He's all over Pedreño. Pedreño can't even defend it. He's coming alongside. And look at this. Surely Jake Benham is going to pick up another car here. 9 laps in. And it's another move for Jake Benham. He passes Pedreño and is up into 9th place. Next up, Dario Yamilo.
He's having the time of his life here, Andy. Flying around the final corner of turn 16 here on lap, well, it's soon to be their lap 10 about to commence as well. Ahead of him, Dario Yamilo this time. He's the man who's up now. He's certainly Mercy written on the table. The white flag's being waved as they come around the next right-hander. Dario Yamilo, no DRS he will have because he's 2.8 seconds back, crucially, from Shanaka Clay. You can just see there, exiting that corner at turn 3 into turn 4 as they make their way around it now. There you can see Dario Yamilo. Is he going to be made a monkey of here around this next right-hander at turn 6? They make their way down. No, not this time. Jake Benham still got some time to find, but I get the feeling that Dario Yamilo is going to be fodder in between turns 13 and 14.
I also get that feeling because he's absolutely flying. Jake Benham 2.8 behind, as you say, George, those top 7 drivers. And Dario Yamilo, well, he's in a bit of bother here because Benham is just in one of those moods where he's just determined to overtake anything and everything in his way. And after that, that's when it gets interesting. That's when we really find out what Benham's pace is like. Is he going to be able to break free as we've got a car off at the final corner? I think that's Chana Kinchi as he retired in the pits. It doesn't look like it, George, going by the track map. I think he might have had an incident, and will we see a safety car or anything of that sort? It remains to be seen. We'll wait and see. But here comes Jake Benham then, up behind Dario Yamilo, going down the straight. He's not catching him as quickly as I thought, but here comes the DRS effect, and here he comes down the inside. Jake Benham picks off another one, and he's gone from 20th to 8th in 10 laps. But here comes Yamilo. He's coming back on the exit. Is he going to be able to get alongside the Mercedes car? No, he's not. Benham's up to 8th place, and now this is where the charge really begins for the Mercedes driver. But Yamilo not giving it up. He's got the DRS open. He's gaining on Jake Benham down towards turn 1. Is he going to go for it up the inside? No, he's not. He just backs out and tucks himself in behind Benham, and that looks like job done for the Mercedes man. He's now up to 8th place.
Yeah, the question is, can he hold on to it? That's the major question. Naturally, that's going to be a real tough ask heading down the long straight. It claims so many in between that section of turn 13 and 14. Of course, such a long straight and a huge opportunity if you can get the slipstream. But Jake Benham already starting to make some moves. He's already put in a little bit of time between him and Dario Yamilo. If that time gap can increase, and he knows that he needs to try and break him before he hits the home straight, that is the crucial moment in this race. And Shootout does lead. Yes, indeed. Simon Shooter has broken Alvaro Caratana. Crucial move, Andy.
Yeah, crucial move. Didn't see it, Josh. I'm presuming it was down the straight on the previous lap when we were watching the amazing run of Jake Benham overtaking all these cars. But yeah, it has changed leadership again. Both of them have got lots of ERS available, George, so it's not as if one is draining the battery and the other isn't. This is quite a level race between them. Valentin Bruffer and Louis Welsh and Nicholas Mateo and Mattis Van Erven all in that DRS train together. Any one of those 6 with a serious chance of winning this Grand Prix today. But Simon Shooter back up into the lead of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, carrying a lot of pace as well. Caraton is hot on his tail. 3.5 tenths of a second the deficit between the pair right now as they round turn 16. There we can see the front nose cone of Simon Shooter. What a camera it is too, as they now wind their way through the paddock straight down towards certainly down towards turn 1 in behind Valentin Bruffer, looking to try and gain himself as well. He's currently just over 2 tenths of a second away from Alvaro Caraton. It's so tight tight-knit up at the top end. You'd firmly expect there to be more moves being made down that long straight as they now make their way out of turn 3 into turn 4 now. Still leading the charge, Thyman Shooter. In behind, Valentine Brufair also sniffing all over the rear of Caraton's Williams as they make their way around the next right. Still, though, Thyman Shooter holding on. He's within, I would say, 7/10 of a second between him and Caraton, but just look at all those names in behind. Brufair, Louis Welsh, Nicholas Matteo, and Maris van Erven. Certainly, you wouldn't want to meet them down a dark alley.
No, you certainly would not, George. They're all very, very quick drivers, and they will pounce on any weakness at any moment they can get. Ulysses Yildirim has come into the pits. He's fitted a set of hard tyres. We saw Ruben Vallejo come in a few laps ago. He went to mediums. He started, of course, on the soft tyres. So I think we're coming up towards that pit window now with Thyman Shooter in the lead of the Grand Prix. The one issue for Nicholas Matteo, he won't be able to pit at his ideal opportunity because he might be in this fight between the others. But, of course, his teammate is within a few seconds of him, and he would have to queue if he pitted on the lap he wanted to when Thyman Shooter pits. So will he maybe try an aggressive undercut, Nicholas Matteo? Perhaps that's an opportunity and something he should consider maybe on this lap. Let's wait and see if any of the drivers in front are thinking the same thing as they come up towards the final corner. None of the top two, neither does Louis, neither does Matteo, so they're all staying out for now, George.
Yeah, all staying out, commencing lap 13 of 28. There you can see Caraton still in behind, and Shanaka Clay does box. Yes, so Shanaka does box. Flores Fiers gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, but he's not the only one to pit. Ruben Pedreño does the same as well, but still, all the top 5, or top 6, should I say, running in tandem of each other. Approximately, anywhere between 3 to 5/10 of a second is all that separates them, so we've still got very much a huge, mighty race on now, as Nicholas Matteo may go for a move. Switch back, beautiful! Heading around turn 6, Louis Welsh did not see it coming. Can he get the count back? Can he try and counter the move there from Nicholas Matteo? But no, he can't. What a move by Nicholas Matteo, and shows the reason why Veloce have signed him. An absolutely crucial blow. A switch back around turn 6. You love to see it, Andy.
Oh, you do love to see it, George. I really like that. That was beautiful from Nicholas Matteo. Caught Louis Welsh unawares, and he's up into 4th place. That was fantastic from Nicholas Matteo. One of my favourite moves in this Grand Prix so far, and he's up into 4th position. And any thoughts of making an early pit stop to undercut them might be starting to disappear, because I think he fancies his chances to just overtake them with moves like that. Absolutely brilliant from Matteo as they now make their way down the straight, and Louis Welsh under a little bit of pressure here from Matthias van Erven, who's only 2/10 behind him. But Caraton at the front is also maybe going for a move. He is going for a move. He's down the inside of Aro Caraton, and is this the lead changing once again as we get closer towards half distance? Yes, it is. Alvaro Caraton back into the lead of this Chinese Grand Prix, and there's still no sign of any pit stops from any of the top 5 or 6. But Caraton back into the front of this Grand Prix as we go to half distance, George.
Yeah, I've got to say, this race is getting absolutely fascinating, and certainly now with 14 laps still remaining in this race, Caraton leading the charge, but Thyman Shooter trying to look for any window of opportunity to try and take back that P1 spot, albeit he might choose to wait between turns 13 and 14 like they always do, as they make their way through now. Mathis van Erven, I'd imagine, still waiting to certainly pounce here on Louis Welsh, who is obviously still hurting a little bit after what Nicholas Matteo did to him on the previous lap around turn 6. As they come out of that bend now, you can see the Haas waiting in the wings. He's been very patient as of late. In behind as well, look at Jake Benham, 4.3 seconds behind as Ulysses Yildirim sets the fastest lap of the race. Jake Benham currently in P7, could be in the realms of producing a massive overcut, Andy.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, isn't it? He was what, right off the back, at the back of the field. He's only 5-6 seconds off the lead of this Grand Prix now. He's absolutely having a sensational afternoon despite that poor start. And look at Alvaro Caraton, by the way. He's opened the gap out to 7/10 here to Thyman Shooter. Is this his attempt to try and break away from the group before the pit stops? I'm liking this from Caraton, a measured approach, and he's now just decided to light the touch paper and go to try and retain the lead of this Grand Prix with the attempted undercuts from anyone behind. So let's see if he's planning to stay out for another couple of laps. Will anyone come into the pits on this particular occasion? None of the top 2, none of the top 3, none of the top 4, none of the top 5 come into the pits. They're all staying out. What about Jake Benham? He stays out as well, George.
Yep, they are as they were, Andy. Still continuing the way they were before. Still Caraton out in front. Thyman Shooter in P2 as well. And certainly still hunting the Apex Predator, who's been just that, certainly in this session. Mattis van Erven right on the rear as well of Louis Welsh. He might choose to make a move himself and try another fancy switchback move, just like Nicholas Mateo did in the previous, 2 laps previous on turn 6. As Shanaka Clay sets the fastest lap of the race on hard tyres. So Shanaka Clay looking to fire at all cylinders and try and gain any advantage he can as they now come out of turn 6 into turn 7. Turn 8 will be after this one, of course. They now round their way through. Mattis van Erven, so potent, so aggressive, and he just loves a scrap, certainly out on a racetrack. We got yellow flags in sector 2. Is that Yamilo off, Andy?
Yeah, I think it was Yamilo. Didn't quite see what happened, but he's off, but he's going again, but he's lost a hatful of places, so that's a shame for him. He was keeping touch with Jake Benham, not anymore. He's dropped all the way down to 13th place, so I'm not too sure if there was an incident between them or if he's lost it on his own, but things not going to plan for Dario Yamilo at the minute. But 15 laps into this race, we surely must be getting close towards this pit window, George, as the top 6 all shadow one another. And look at Jake Benham, only 3.7 off this group now. He's really trying to get involved as Valentin Bruffer thinks about a move on Thyman Shooter. Not close enough, and he stays in 3rd place. Will anyone pit on this lap? Will we see a aggressive undercut from Jake Benham on this lap? We'll have to wait and see. We've got pit stops, and in comes Alvaro Caraton.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's the first man to buckle, and let's see if that works out for him. Thyman Shooter now takes the lead of the race. Going ahead now, Louis Welsh and Mattis van Erven both moving up. Louis Welsh, incidentally, has actually dropped nearly a second off Nicholas Mateo, so he is losing time, is the man on the pad, and that might open up things here for that young Mattis van Erven, who might choose to open the door here. He knows that Louis Welsh is hurting a little bit, perhaps. Is there damage on that Ferrari? Is the tyres, or are the tyres starting to wear off as they now make their way down towards turn 6 again? The Haas locked in behind that Ferrari, of course, both of them donning, as I said before, Ferrari engines like the Alfa Romeo did, as they now round the next left-hander at turn 7. Can you see Mattis van Erven now getting so close to the rear now of Louis Welsh? He's going to get closer and closer, I'm sure, as they very soon will make their way out to this double left-hander, down to another straight, and we have another yellow flag in sector 1. I'm not sure what that's all about, Andy.
Yeah, I think it's Dario Yamilo's car. He retired in the pit lane, but I think his car's come back out onto the track as AI. So I think that is the reason for that yellow flag. Alvaro Caraton, by the way, has come out into some clean air, 2.5 seconds of it. Next car up the road is Samuel Liebert. So I think he is going to be quite good in that regard to retain the lead of this Grand Prix. Will he be able to break the DRS though when the others pit? That is the big question. Louis Welsh dropping off the back of Mateo, as you said, George. And I mean, I think that's down to the pad, really, isn't it? The tyre wear is a lot worse when you're on the pad, and you really will start to feel that disadvantage at the end of the stint. And there you go, Mattis van Erven has got himself ahead now of Louis Welsh, and that's a shame for Louis Welsh on that pad.
Yeah, it certainly is a shame after that brilliant qualifying session that he had, but he's still up there and fighting. No penalties applied. He's still in certainly in the frame for the lead as Bruffer is chasing all over the rear of Thyman Shooter. These two have landed blows on each other time and again in the past as they now come around the next right-hander out of turn 2 into turn 3 now. Very, very shortly there you can see Thyman Shooter nose to tail there with a black arrow. And can Valentin Bruffer get a nice turn of foot here and make his way down towards turn 6, where we've seen a couple of moves done already. Shanaka Clay going quicker with once again a time of 132.722 there for that man in the Aston Martin as they polarise their way out of turn 6 into turn 7. Brilliant racing across the board. That Thyman Shooter still leading, and I get the feeling that Valentin Bruffer might have his number down the long straight.
Two things, George. First of all, Alvaro Caraton going for the hards, as you would have expected. Are these leaders trying to stay out on mediums to go on to softs? Is there a difference in strategy here? That is very interesting if they are. And second of all, Shanaka Clay's only 2.6 seconds off Alvaro Caraton, and if it carries on like this, he will jump quite a few, if not all of these drivers in the top 5 places, so we'll need to watch out for that one. And meanwhile, Jake Benham's now only 3 seconds off the back of this group. He's reeling them in, George.
He certainly is, and I'd imagine you're absolutely right, Andy. They're going to want to switch to the soft tyres towards the end of this race as Thyman Shooter tries to break the slipstream. Bruffer, though, has done this so many times before, and it's P1 there for the Mercedes, at least for now, prior to their pit stop phase. Didn't get the best of exits out of turn 14, but coming around turn 15 and 16, that's a crucial venture into the lead of the race. And I have to say, to the final corner better than Thyman did as well, as they make their way up towards turn 1. Still Shooter not going away. Can he shoot himself back into P1? Not this time. Brufair has his number. Up into P1 at least for now here on lap 18. Liam Parnell, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, but a Mercedes leads once again. A familiar face at the top of the category, with Jake Benham hot on the tail as well of Louis Welsh. Only 3 seconds separate those two. He is flying, Andy.
Yeah, this is really fascinating, George. There's no doubt about it. These drivers in the top 5 are committing to a set of soft tyres. Look at Thyman Shooter there, 74% tyre wear. This is puncture territory. He is approaching with that. That is very worrying for him. We've got another yellow flag out there. Why is that? Not too sure. But I've got to say, George, this is very interesting. Alvaro Carreton, new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. There's no doubt about it. He will lead this race, and he'll lead it by quite a way. But will he be reeled in when these guys go to the soft compound tyre? And will those drivers on the mediums right now get to the pit stop without getting a puncture? Thyman Shooter is right on the limit on 74%.
Yeah, he certainly is. Thyman Shooter really pushing and a prodding. Brufair still leads him currently, 7.5 tenths the difference. But you get the feeling that Thyman Shooter is starting to feel the pinch here, because he's now becoming fodder for young Nicholas Matteo, who is right on his tail here. Both have DRS, so there's certainly going to be no overtaking, at least for now. Both of them in the Alfa Romeo. I have to say, Alfa Romeo could be on for some very, very good points here today, as they now make their way out of turn 14, 15, and now into turn 16. They're going to go into the pit lane now. Brufair is boxing. Thyman Shooter is also boxing. Matteo now leads, and I'm sure he will pit the following lap. Louis Welch is in, so's Mattis van Erven, who now makes his way up into P4. Jake Benham stays out here, Andy.
Yeah, I think there's a 5-second time penalty for both Mattis van Erven and Louis Welch going into the pit lane there, so that has killed their hopes of trying to win the race. As Thyman Shooter comes into the box now, is he going to be ahead or behind his rival in the Mercedes? He's going to be just in front of Valentin Brufair. Alvaro Carreton has gone through. Is Shinaka Clay going to go through? We suspected he might, and he has. So Shinaka Clay is now up a place ahead of them too, but he should be easy pickings for them on those soft compound tyres. Carreton is quite a cushion. Will they catch them before the soft tyres go off, George?
Well, that's the big question. Certainly Carreton doing the vital undercut, and has managed to work his way back up into P4. Obviously the cars ahead of him are still yet to box, so you'd fancy Carreton to certainly take the lead of this race. Certainly Thomas Harvey is still to be overtaken, though he's currently Thomas Harvey is actually 10.8 seconds behind that of Jake Benham, so he's got a lot of work to do. So Carreton should pick him up relatively easily here. The 18-lap-old mediums are certainly going to suffer. Lefted has retired from the session. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. Potential safety car here, Andy?
Not too sure. I think it's lefted out of the Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see if that is going to result in a safety car, but no sign of it at the moment. It really would help the drivers on the soft tyre. If there was one, it would leave Alvaro Carreton in a really, really bad position. No sign of it at the minute. We don't really want a safety car here. I'm really interested to see what the better strategy is. Meanwhile, going down the straight, here comes Thyman Shooter. He's not hanging around. He's behind Shinaka Clay. You would expect this to be easy pickings, and it is going to be easy pickings for both of them. But look at that, Valentin Brufair not making it easy. He's trying to go through on him, but he's not able to do so. And Shooter retains the place. And in the breakings, I thought Brufair was going to get a run on him. He couldn't get a run on him, and it is Shooter and Brufair in that order, with Shinaka Clay dropping down.
Yeah, phenomenal pace from Thyman Shooter, really utilising those fresh softs to his advantage. Has gone ahead now of Valentin Brufair, also on a similar strain of softs as well. Alvaro Carreton, though, currently in P2 and trying to close down on Nicholas Matteo, though I don't think he will close to him before Matteo pits, as there we're seeing Thyman Shooter coming out of turn 3 into turn 4 very shortly. In behind there's Valentin Brufair after being overtaken by Thyman Shooter. Shinaka Clay there as well. Samuel Lebert and Thomas Harvey go to the back of the grid after pitting, but there you can see at the top end, though, still Valentin Brufair hunting down Thyman Shooter, as well as Shinaka Clay in behind as well. What a strategy there from Shinaka Clay, as Jake Benham also whittles his way up into P7 on fresh soft tyres. Jake Benham, what a race he's having, Andy. He's up into P7 on fresh soft tyres and only a second behind Mattis van Erven. What a strategy there from the All-Star.
Yeah, there's a top 6 in the cars for him here, no doubt about it. I fancy he'll get Shinaka Clay as well for the end of the race, maybe even Van Erven with the penalty too, so maybe a top 5 for Jake Benham, which is some return from being at the back of the grid. But I'm really interested to see what Nicholas Matteo's trying here. This is completely left of field. He stayed out even longer than he needed to. He could have come in on the last lap. He's coming in as late as lap 20. That is a monster stint on a set of medium tyres, and he's going to be the quickest of them all on the soft tyres to the end of the race. He should still have life in his tyres when we get to the end, I'm not too sure the likes of Shootout, Prefer and Van Erven and Benham will. Let's wait and see, George. I'm really looking forward to this. And that will now give Caraton the lead of this Grand Prix that he surrendered when he came in for that early stop to fit those hard tyres.
Yeah, well, out comes now Nicholas Matteo. He's just left his pit crew. He's about to cross the line as well. His pit lane, actually, or where his pit box is right at the end of the straight. And Bennett, oh, he spun!
Oh!
Matteo spun! Matteo has spun! That is absolutely crucial, and Benham has gone ahead of him. Benham has gone ahead, so that's allowed him to go into P6, and that is absolutely crucial here. 0 lap softs on Jake Benham. I think he's only had 1 lap on them, in fact. So the all-star Jake Benham goes ahead of Nicholas Matteo, with still Shanaka Clay and Max Van Erven to beat. A top 4 is on the cards here, Andy.
Yeah, that's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, I'm gutted for Matteo because I really wanted to see, as a neutral, and I think the viewers wanted to see as well how his strategy would have planned out by going so much longer. We won't get to know now after that spin, which is a real shame for us all, and I think really for the esports drivers too, because I think they all want to learn what the best strategy is, because I don't think any of them have a clue at the minute. We've got people going for hards at the first stop, we're going people on softs, and people just going until they almost destroy the medium tyre, in the case of Nicholas Matteo. But he's been caught out with a kind of almost rookie-like error with cold tyres going into turn 1, and that is a real shame for him. But I tell you what, the writing appears to be on the wall for Alvaro Caraton. He's been reeled in by Shooter and Brufer, and surely he's going to get overtaken. The question is, at the end, how will the soft tyres be? Will Caraton come back at them? Perhaps he will.
Well, you have to wonder whether that is that's the order of the day. Simon Shooter has now broken, or getting close to breaking, DRS here on Alvaro Caraton. But I tell you, someone who is utilising DRS, it's Max Van Erven, who's right on the rear of Shanaka Clay. And Shanaka Clay is not fighting this one at all. Van Erven is going to take it with absolute ease around turn 1. Brilliant from the Haas, who now makes his way up into P4, and 2 laps applied. I get the feeling that Shanaka, all he'll do is try and get the slipstream, if he can get one, off Mattis Van Erven, and try and bring himself a little closer to the pack at the top end. But still, Caraton's leading. Simon Shooter in P2, now only 7/10 of a second back. He's not far away at all. An opportunity on that main straight, surely, for an attack here from the Alfa Romeo, as Alvaro Caraton now whittling around the next right-hander. The hard tyres trying to keep him alive here up at the top end, but Simon Shooter probing, knows that he has the pace, he has the compound to certainly work here. Brufer as well, in behind in P3, plenty to offer here in lap 22 of 28. Certainly 6 laps is all that remain, but is there enough to keep these softs going as they come around the next right-hander now? Certainly out of turn 13, in comes Simon Shooter. DRS will be open, he surely will get it done before the hairpin corner, heading down towards the bend now. Caraton at the mercy of one Simon Shooter. The Alfa Romeo goes deep, brilliant, excellently executed, does it in style, and certainly Simon Shooter will lead this WOR Chinese Grand Prix. The soft tyre strategy looks OP at this moment, Andy.
I don't know, George. I don't know if I was Caraton there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not Alvaro Caraton. Why would I give him advice? But my view on it is, why not just use the battery, defend the position, keep them behind you, and just try and hold them back. It's inevitable they will get through. Yes, I understand that. But if you can hold them up for a few laps, it will make it easier for you to get them back at the end when their tyres fall off. I was thinking maybe this would have been his chance to win the race by just holding them there for as long as he could. Even if it was just for 1 lap, it would have kept them within range for his late charge when these soft tyres go off. But no, he's quite happy to do exactly that and let Shooter go through it. So maybe he's right. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to argue with Alvaro Caraton. He knows a lot more than me.
Well, absolutely. That's why he's at Williams Esports, that's for sure. In behind as well, Valentin Brufer might well get a little bit of bite out of this Williams himself as well as they come around the next left. Certainly as they do so in tandem. There is the Mercedes in deep. Certainly Valentin Brufer knows where to do it. That long straight has claimed many in this Grand Prix. Simon Shooter leads with Alvaro Caraton 6/10 of a second or so. In behind now, it stretches out to 7/10 with Brufer now starting to try and mix things up as they head around turn 12 and 13 now. Down the stretch again this time. Will Brufer open up the door? Certainly with the DRS it will be, well, certainly ever so easy as they come down towards the stretch. Will he go in? No, not this time. Caraton actually benefiting, utilising the DRS. He's keen not to let that Mercedes through, Andy, because it'll be game over if he does.
Yeah, shut up, Ginger Andy. I know what he's doing. I know exactly what he's doing. He's going to sit in between the two and then protect himself from dropping down into third place. But the key to that is he must stay within DRS to Thyman Shooter. If he can do that, there is a good opportunity that he can still win the race. This is quite clever from Alvaro Caraton. I'm liking it, but he must stay within the second. And will he be able to come flying back at Thyman Shooter at the end of this Grand Prix? Those softs will start to go off. They have only 4 laps old though. So can Shooter break the DRS? He has to try to. He must do it now if he wants to win the race. If Caraton stays there, these soft runners are going to be sitting ducks. Maybe Prefer is thinking, I need to pass Caraton, otherwise he's going to get us both. The only way that one of the soft runners wins this is if Prefer gets ahead of Caraton, or if Shooter can break that DRS. And at the minute, it does not look likely, George.
No, not at all. There's Caraton in behind now, still holding on though. He's within that 6/10 gap. He is still holding on to that same time gap, which is not going to be to Thyman Shooter's liking. The longer this goes on, the longer it favours Caraton. That's all I will say to you folks, as they come around the next right-hander. Needs to hold on to P2. That's the crucial element. Keep the sandwich going so that he can actually gain using the DRS from Thyman Shooter, and at the same time keeping Brufair behind. But as they whittle their way down now, Thyman Shooter finding that little bit of extra gap now as well. In comes Valentine Brufair, obviously trying to gain any delta he can, utilising, well, in fact he's not using any overtake at this stage. I think Brufair is trying to save a little bit. I think he needs to, but he can't afford to wait too much longer as Jake Benham moves his way up into P5, Andy.
Yeah, Benham up to P5, but if I was Brufair, I'd have been going for that move because Caraton is the big danger here. If you were looking at bookie odds right now, Caraton would be the favourite. Thyman Shooter has drained the entire battery, George. He's down at 5%. He's given it everything. He's thrown the kitchen sink, and he just cannot shake off the Apex Predator, who's now right there and ready to pounce, because these soft tyres are just going to keep wearing away, bit by bit by bit, losing rubber, losing performance, and Caraton is now just sitting there patiently, waiting to pounce.
He certainly is. Just look at how close he is. He has not left the rear of that Alfa Romeo with only 3 laps remaining in this Chinese Grand Prix, folks. Hope you're all enjoying it at home, because we certainly are. The Spaniard Alvaro Caraton, the Apex Predator, needs to try and utilise the Apexes in order to get the most out of these hard tyres. The softs, though, are just certainly looking like their best, well, their best laps are certainly behind them as they come around the next left-hander now. Down the stretch, down towards turn 11. They've got a little chicane type section to tackle first before they meet turns 12 and 13. There you can see him behind as well. Valentine Brufair trying to gain as much as he can as well. Coming down the stretch now once again. DRS will open up once again this time. Valentine Brufair, can he get any closer to Caraton? Look at that delta gap, Andy. 0.5 of a second. It's not going out. It's coming in. It's coming in, and that's the crucial element of this race. Caraton smells blood. I know it. In comes Brufair and has a little look, but it's not enough to make a move. Still Thyman Shooter leads, but for how long, Andy?
All I'll say is if Valentine Brufair passes Caraton, Thyman Shooter will stick Brufair on his Christmas card list, but at the minute I don't see it happening. Caraton is the one in the move for me. He's the one to watch with 3 laps to go. Another lap ticks by on those soft tyres with Shooter not breaking away, and the gap's as small as it's ever been, and now you're really going to see him struggle in the traction zones, and Caraton is swarming all over the back of that Alfa Romeo. He's ready to pounce, perhaps as soon as turn number 6, as he reels him in, as they now head up the hill and then sweep back down into that hairpin. Caraton all over him, ready to make that move, and I think this might be the lap he goes to try and make that decisive move and gain a second win in 3 races.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. You're absolutely spot on. I think he's taking is a very cool and calculated approach. The Apex Predator, that's why we call him just that. He finds the pace, finds the corners. He's got the speed. He's got the tyre wear. He has got plenty underneath the car of that Williams, certainly. And ahead of him, Thyman Shooter doing everything he can to keep Caraton at bay as they come through that sector now. Certainly up through the semi-chicane, coming around turn 12. Turn 13 next as well. Another straight beckons again. And still Caraton. Look at him this time. Right on the tail of Thyman Shooter. And he's surely going to shoot this time. DRS opens up here for Caraton. The softs have had it surely. And Caraton, for all his experience, has benefited him this time. Makes his way up into P1. What an incredible strategy. A grandiose effort. Caraton, the Apex Predator, is in P1, Andy.
Oh, I said it at the start of the show, George. Experience, never underrate it, and he's shown it once again, Caraton. He's showed patience. The race will come to him, and it has came to him. He takes the lead back on lap 27 out of 28, and Simon Shootout could do nothing. He was powerless, and he's through. But can he hold on, Caraton? Can he stay there? Quick update for the viewers on the ERS count. Caraton, 40%. Shooter, 22%. Brufair, 46%. I was thinking maybe Brufair would be saving a little bit more. He's not, though. So let's see how this pans out. Caraton will be praying that Shooter and Brufair end up in a battle.
Yeah, certainly. Also another man trying to jettison his way up through the field is certainly Jake Benham, Shanaka Clay, who is trying to tackle now. Oh, wheel-to-wheel affair here between Nicholas Mateo and Shanaka Clay. Mateo off the circuit, and that opens the door for Shanaka Clay to hold on to P6. Absolutely sensational. Still looking further up, though. Jake Benham swarming all over Mattis van Erven, coming around that next right, heading into the next left here at turn 9. Soon to be turn 10 as well this time. As soon as they make their way down the straight, they themselves will also be taking that chicane further up now, soon to be heading around turn 12. There you can see Mattis van Erven holding on for all he's worth, but this time Benham, all-star, brilliant Jake Benham, who has certainly provided us with many a grandiose occasion here, certainly here in sim racing. Crucially, Andy, the Caraton has also broken a second on Simon Shooter. In comes Jake Benham now. The brilliance of Jake Benham, the all-star, makes his way up into P4, and what an all-star he is as well. Mercedes 3 and 4. What a drive from the youngster, last to P4 in this race. Sensational.
Sensational from Jake Benham, a star of the future, no doubt about it. He's up a place. Well done to Shanaka Clay, by the way. He was quite far back too, and he's also made that hard tire strategy work. But that was decisive stuff from Alvaro Caraton on lap 26. He's got the job done. He's now out to 1.5 seconds, and Shooter is destroying the tyres. And now Brufair fancies a chance in moving up into second place. Let's see if he's close enough to make that move then down into turn 6. I think he's going to wait for the final couple of corners to make that move. But Caraton, what a drive it's been, what a performance. Experience telling once again. He's going to win this race in his second of the season as well.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying, Andy. 1.6 now, 1.7 is going up by the moment. 1.8 now, it's going up absolutely tenfold right now. And in behind, Valentin Brufair can smell that his enemy is weak. Simon Shooter coming around the next left-hander. He's a wounded deer right now with a lion pouncing all over the rear of him. The Mercedes is absolutely polarizing here at this moment in time. P2 is up for grabs, and Brufair wants some of it, that's for sure. Coming around turn 12, round turn 13 this time. As soon as they make their way down the straight, he'll open up the door. Simon Shooter, no argument here. In comes Brufair this time. Certainly the Mercedes have had such a crazy race, an experienced race, but brilliant there from Valentin Brufair up into P2. But how about this man, the Spaniard that has wowed everybody? A sensational race, a sensational battle, but it's Alvaro Caraton, the apex predator. He will win the WOR Chinese Grand Prix in sensational style with Valentin Brufair in P2 after a brilliant drive. Simon Shooter in P3 after a grandiose start. But how about Jake Benham? P4 all the way from the tail of the field.
Yeah, great drive from Benham, great comeback. I did not think he would get anywhere near that high up the field. A great performance from him as we've got Omni Shambles on the start-finish straight here. But what a brilliant performance from Alvaro Caraton. Experience tells, patience as well. Did the right strategy. He knew he was going to have the lead after the pit stops. He knew he was going to lose that lead. I called out and said, well, hold on a minute, maybe he should be keeping those guys back, the first car back, but no, he slotted in perfectly, got it to perfection, stayed in second place, let those drivers wear out their tyres, and he pounced with decisive fashion with 2 laps to go and delivered a fine 25 points in the bag in his second win of the season, George. I think that will raise a few eyebrows to a few drivers in the world of league racing and perhaps even esports, and they'll probably look at it and go, yeah, that is the strategy. Don't use softs. Don't even think about going on softs. Definitely mediums. Definitely move to hards. That is the right way to go. The softs drain out too quickly on this track. And yeah, you learn some new things on new games. And I've certainly learned something today. That was definitely the right strategy to go for. And Alvaro Caraton is the victor.
Yeah, it certainly is. And just to talk about the championship after this one, folks, of course, Caraton taking the win, Brufair in P2, Thyman Shooter in P3, Jake Benham in P4 currently, Mateo 5, Shanaka Clay in P6, Ruben Pedreño P7, Lewis Welch in P8, Ulas Azildra in P9, Yari Fitz in 10th, Lebert P11 with Parnell in 12th, Veers in P13, and then we got Magnus van Erven after that huge battle in the midfield. He just lost it there, P14, Thomas Harvey, of course, there, Felipe Souza as well, down in P16 with Vallejo in 17th. We lost Lefted, we lost Yamilo, we lost Chanakinchi, but incredible nonetheless, Andy. I mean, just looking at the championship now, there's 2 points in it. Benham leads on 52, Caraton on 50. What a title race we've got.
Yeah, we do. It's a great title race, and we're now starting to see it take shape, aren't we, George? Great race today, and the title battle really taking shape. But I mean, you got to hand it there to Jake Benham from 20th in the grid. I spoke earlier on about how Caraton got nothing back in Bahrain, and Benham has just been consistent. He's been there or thereabouts, and even today when he was 20th, we said it, he needs damage limitation, he needs to come back through the field. I didn't think he'd get as high as 4th. Driver of the day for me. What a recovery that is to get up into 4th place. And he keeps himself firmly in the championship hunt when it looked like he was going to get absolutely 0 points at one point. So well done to him. Great persistence, great determination to keep fighting. Warrior-like, Fernando Alonso-like, you could say, and just kept ploughing away and got the result. So very impressed by him, and of course impressed by Alvaro Caraton, just using that experience, using his knowledge, and his class told today. What a performance from him.
Oh, huge. A mighty performance. And that's exactly what we want to see, certainly here in league racing. I tell you what, it just goes to show that even those budding to get into the top echelons of esports, they are not far off the pace whatsoever. Caraton's strategy at the end prevailed in what was a very tightly contested affair. Certainly, Thyman Shooter took him all the way. With only a few laps remaining, Caraton was able to pounce and take the lead of the race, planning his every move with absolute precision and perfection. And he, of course, now takes that race win. And not only that, brings himself within 2 points of Jake Benham, who himself, incredible stuff indeed, from the back of the grid to an amazing P4. You've got to give him every credit going for that effort, because that is absolutely mighty. Almost Jana Watmere-esque as well. I know those two practice together. You have to wonder whether that greatness is starting to rub off on Jake Benham a little bit here, Andy.
Yeah, I think that's very clear to see, George. I think it's very impressive, his quick rise up through the leagues and now into these top tiers, and he's right up there on pace. He's very, very quick, and he's got a genuine chance of winning this championship here in WR, or first on PC with a really strong grid. And he's really taking it to seasoned veterans. I think it's fair to call Alvaro Caraton that. He's been there and done it in the F1 Esports Series. And Alvaro's going to have his work cut out, because Jake Benham really is a rising star for the future. And those two lighting it up at the minute. Impressive performances as well from Brufair and Thyman Shooter. They were excellent too. Louis Welsh in qualifying, I was so impressed by him as well. Kind of expected it to die away in the race, just with that disadvantage with tyre life, being on a pad, especially on a track like China, where the tyre wear can be quite severe. So that I always expected him to fade, but I was really impressed by just his raw pace in general in qualifying. And we had a lot of fun in the early laps as well in the midfield, George, so much so that we missed an overtake for the lead, didn't we? So it's great to see in WR. Great action in the midfield, and after the week we've had, George, the turbulent week, we've came back here this weekend, and I have to say, things are as healthy as they were before. We move on, stronger than ever, to the next race, and the only way is up, George. Doesn't matter what anyone tries to do to put in our way, we're on the way up. Nobody can stop us. We're a force for good.
Absolutely. And certainly league racing has never been better. It's exactly the same as where it's always been, folks. Certainly it is the best racing going, and you get it week in, week out, no charge. You can just enjoy it, sit back and enjoy the show. And certainly we hope that you do enjoy the show, because obviously we enjoy bringing you the show, of course. I mean, what an absolutely outstanding race. Certainly all those drivers never looked out of place at all. All of them fighting in qualifying right through to the end of the Grand Prix, which was sensational. Great to see the action commencing pretty much from the word go, wasn't it? What a start there. Certainly for Caraton, and also ahead as well. Thyman Shooter pounced immediately off the line as well. It was incredible to watch, wasn't it? Brufair was just a little bit slow off the line, and it ended up with him dripping down the field, but he still stayed in tow. It was a great start by Shooter, wasn't it?
Oh, he shot off the line. He was brilliant off the line. Great start, and excellent stuff. But Caraton, I mean, I was almost going to say it was race defining, that start. I don't think so though, because I think his strategy was that superior. He would have won anyway, even if he was fourth on the grid. He made the right call in the strategy, and it was the key to the race. But it was still excellent stuff from him, going from fourth and then eventually first in that first stint. Picking one off the line, using his experience again through turns 1 and 2, picking the right line to get ahead of Louis Welsh, and then going for that dive bomb. A little bit fortuitous actually into turn 6 that it came off, because Louis Welsh was ready for the undercut, George. Don't know if it was seen on the camera, but then I think it was Shinaka Clay and the Aston came in, and Louis Welsh couldn't turn into the corner, and the cars behind went wide too, so it actually meant that it worked out really well for Caraton. And sometimes you've got to take those kind of risks in the early laps of a Grand Prix. We know how ferocious the competition is, we know how tight the competition is, and it's fine margins that can decide the races, and sometimes those small bits of luck or those the small decisions that you make in a Grand Prix will be so key to the eventual outcome. And Caraton went for it, got the move done, had the perfect start, and just managed the race brilliantly. And as I saw Lucas Blakely say in the chat, it's one thing, you know, going out there and trying it, but to actually execute it in that way, it was, in his words, textbook. Yeah. The way he made the move on lap 26 and got it done and won the race. And yeah, that's another top driver, Lucas Blakely, of course, complimenting the work of Alvaro Caraton. So that, I think that just tells you how good it was. It was excellent.
Just goes to show the mindset you need to have in order to compete at the top end. So amazing. And certainly Blakely's experience in calling that out in the live chat as well, shining through as well, folks. But I've got to say, once again, we had a brilliant race. I'm already seeing in the live chat, folks. Amazing stuff. Thank you to Jasper Heaton as well. What a race. Thank you for the comms, lads. It's our pleasure, Jasper. Big thank you as well to Mark Saunders, GG, and great presenting. Thank you so much, my friend. And also superb lads from Lou Blade as well. You guys are awesome. I'd like to thank all of you in the live chat for joining us here tonight. Of course, League Racing is still well supported. You guys, the community, support it week in, week out. And I have to say, without fail, you never, ever fail to blow us away. You guys are absolutely brilliant with all your support, all your tenacity in helping League Racing thrive and grow. And that's what we're all here to do. And the fact that we're all one community fighting for the same things, it certainly is a privilege to be part of it and a privilege to be your commentators, certainly for the WOR Racing on a Sunday night. But if you haven't done so already, please make sure you smash a subscribe and also a like to the channel as well. Please make sure you also check out WOR on the socials as well, at WOR League on Twitter. That is where you can find all the updates and all the latest news concerning the league and all its various events and other races at the tiers that you might want to check out as well. Also staying up to date with all the championship standings, etc, etc. You can also check me out as well on Twitter at George Morgan TV. That's my tag down below, and my name is of course George Morgan. Andy, why didn't you hit them up with your details as well, my friend?
Yeah, and as you can see down below, you can hit me up with Ginger Andy F1 on Twitter as well. So yeah, a great race today, George. Really fantastic, and the championship really is hotting up. It's been brilliant. It's been a turbulent week, but it's great to be back. And just before we go, I just want to touch on what you said there about the community coming together. Sometimes there can be chaos in the Formula One community and bickering and arguing, whether it's in leagues and other things. But it's great to see that everyone came together this week, rallied the troops, and got together and took a stance and took out a strong stance. And it's great to see us come out the other end of it stronger than before. So it's great to see, George. Fantastic. And looking forward to more great races this season here in WOR and in other leagues too, like PSGL. It's been thriving, and every single league out there filtering right down to the bottom, because even the best start from the very, very bottom. And it's great as well to have everyone tuning in today. So important that we get these viewers and we get the backing that we get. So thanks very much for sticking with us today as well. And yeah, the only way is up, George. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. It's going to be epic.
Yeah, absolutely. And next up, we have Montreal on the calendar as well. Very, very famous circuit, obviously well known and well respected as well. So we look forward to seeing you guys at the Wall of Champions as well. Hopefully you don't hit it, fingers crossed. But there we go.
You'll hit it.
We'll hit it instead. Brilliant stuff. But anyway, folks, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week for a brand new show. I've been George Morgan. He's been Ginger Andy. See you at Canada. Goodbye.
Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship! What a season! phenomenal.